Like, oh, yes, MP3 is dead. It's dead. It's officially killed. It's dead.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
And it's Thursday, May 18th, 2017, and this is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 930.
This is No Agenda.
Keeping an eye on all four branches of government so you don't have to. And broadcasting live from the darkest corners of the internet in the capital of the Drone Star State here in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where my printer is only printing in brown, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, now that we have that important news out of the way, time for a disclaimer.
I have the important news of the day. I have to tell people in advance that I won't be able to make a report that I would normally do because we have too much other news that's actual news.
I know. And I saw that it had aired, and I thought to myself, I said, I don't think John did it.
I haven't recorded. I've watched the show.
Oh, good.
I'm ready to, but I didn't have the time to piece together the fabulous bit that I usually do.
I totally understand. Yeah. However, I did do my extra homework. I'm not saying you didn't do a lot of work. But I watched the movie Dick.
Good for you.
But this was kind of I thought this was a kind of recent movie. So I'm searching around on the Netflix and the Amazons. I can't. And by the way, if you go online and you search for movie Dick, this is not a good search term. And then I got distracted for a couple hours. And yeah, very hard. Yeah, nice one, John. Oh, one after another.
Even Dick the movie's hard to come by.
Yeah, there you go. But I will say, this is a very good film. First of all, it's funny in a 1999 kind of way.
Right, it was a 1999 film. It's old. It's an old movie.
And the premise is, the deep throat. There's these two girls, 15-year-old girls, and they wind up through a whole bunch of crazy circumstances, actually helping Woodward and Bernstein, which in that movie, Will Ferrell plays Woodward. And I forget who's Bernstein, but if I were Bernstein, I would hate this movie because Bernstein is portrayed as this little natty Jew boy. Yeah. Just trying to slip in all that. I mean, really pretty
Wasn't that
anti-Semitic.
Dustin Hoffman in that movie?
No, I don't think that was. No, it wasn't Dustin Hoffman.
Okay.
No. That was All the President's Men, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. He played the actual, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? That would be funny.
Yeah. But it was very good, and you realize throughout this movie, and first of all, I can totally see where the current script comes from for, Watergate impeachment. Is one important difference. There was an actual crime, an actual break-in. There was, money being paid off. There were all kinds of things going on, which is far from what we're hearing today. But before we move on at all, Hillary's hit list, chalk one more up. Roger Ailes, dead at 77.
Oh, I missed it. This happened today?
It's a show day. Of course it happened today. Dead?
I thought you were going to mention the guy. There's a guy that was a partner with Seth Rich who dropped dead somehow. And I thought that's who you're going to talk about.
Well, there's a number of things to talk about, but I think Roger Ailes is pretty significant.
Yes, I would think.
And I would say, looking at the hit list, now that we know that, it's killing going on.
There's killing going on.
You can call this coincidence, sure. Let me take you back to Sean Hannity, who I would say would be the next one on the list for something horrible to happen. A little pinprick with an umbrella, perhaps. Here's something he said not too long ago.
And this is the amazing thing is we are all under attack. I don't think people realize we're being monitored, every word we say, every day, by people paid in the hopes of taking all of us out. You, me, Tucker, everybody. And what's amazing is that they won't tell the story that he has a checklist. He made promises. He's not deviating from those promises.
This was about Obama. So, yeah, hit list. I mean, Ailes, that's a whew. And, wait. There was another, I'm just going to call it all Hillary's hit list. Might as well. North Carolina Senator. Thom Tillis. I don't know if he's dead, but he collapsed yesterday. Which means now there's only 51 senators on the Republican side.
Oh,
yeah.
That's an interesting
boy.
I
mean, if someone's got to drop dead, gosh, let it be a Republican senator. Now, again, I don't know if he's dead. But it does. Let's put it this way. It makes it kind of convenient. And Roger Ailes, man, I wonder what he had. I wonder what kind of info he had.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't have it anymore. That was something in there. What you said, it combined with Hannity complaining about everything going bad.
Mm-hmm.
Is this clip, which I thought was very interesting because it was played as a. Let me see if I can find it. It was played as, here's kind of straight news. This is, oh, man.
Interesting aside from CBS? I'm just throwing stuff out there.
That might be it. Let's play that.
He is doubting his top advisors, even son-in-law Jared Kushner, who supported firing FBI Director Comey despite the ongoing Russia investigation.
Yeah.
No, that's not the clip. But it's a good point. Kushner's the bad actor in this whole thing, by the way. And here it is. CBS bad attempt at humor. Now listen carefully to this clip and tell me what's wrong.
The Washington Post is reporting tonight that Paul Ryan's number 2 House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy told Ryan and other Republican leaders in a private conversation last year that he thought that Russian President Vladimir Putin was paying Donald Trump. His aides initially told the paper that he never said that until they were confronted with the existence of an audio tape. And just a few moments ago, Scott, McCarthy told reporters that it was a bad attempt at humor.
Whoa. Wait a minute. There was a lot in that.
Let's start with the beginning. McCarthy says, I guess he's hanging around his buddies. And he as a joke, because, everybody's a joker. And I think it was meant as a joke. He didn't mean it seriously, even though the New York Times or the Washington Post would report it as such. But he said, I think just Putin's paying him. And there was, it's very funny. And then the next thing you know, it comes out in the newspaper. And I said, he never said anything like that, not really thinking much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? An audio tape? Where did the audio tape come from?
Yeah, that's great. Audio tape, no less.
Yeah.
You love some audio
what they
tapes.
meant was a recording. It's probably electronic, but
I understand.
It was what you can't even, you're in Washington, D.C. now, and you're hanging out with your pals, yakking away, trying to throw some zingers out there, and everything you say is being recorded? Is that what we nobody mentions this on the show. They just throw it out there as it was an embarrassment because, hey, oh, really? You didn't say it? Here's the tape.
Yeah, there's, let me see. I have a lot of, I have to say, I just had to clip a lot. We don't have to play everything, obviously, but there was something about, let me just see what I have on the so-called tape. That was pretty funny. Well, we'll get to that. What I wanted to start with is Thursday night, after the show, all this stuff is. Wait, was it Thursday? It was Thursday or Friday? When did the New York Times say, "Oh, we've got the Comey memo"? Was that Thursday?
Well, today's Thursday, so
Sunday. God, I don't know. I'm so confused. Sunday.
You did the same thing last Sunday.
You're
off a show.
I'm unhinged.
You're unhinged.
Unhinged. So it was Sunday night. No, it must have been Monday night. Let's just say Monday night. Every single channel, including Fox News, had CIA guys on. I mean, Don Lemon, the overnight legend, had Woolsey, former director of CIA, on his show. Please, they threw everything at this, and I'm just sitting there going, well, this is a CIA op. This is obvious. They're behind it.
Hello.
Well, I know, but now we really have. I mean, this to see former director Woolsey on Don Lemon's show. No. There's no way. That makes no sense for ratings. It makes no sense. Don Lemon's a moron. And Woolsey won't go on that unless he's just spewing talking points. Philip Mudd, everybody, that disrespectful douchebag, everybody is coming out. Oh, yeah, all CIA.
Yeah. They're overdoing it. Hey, boys.
Yeah.
Pull it back a little bit.
Well,
you're on a roll, for God's sake.
People are noticing. Even Democrat Dennis Kucinich.
Well, first of all, I read the Washington Post story very carefully. And more than that, I spent 16 years in the United States Congress tracking all these things that are said about foreign policy. There's a high BS quotient going on right here, and the meter should be going off all over town. We don't need to look to Russia for any affirmation here. We need to ask questions about why is this intelligence community trying to upend the President of the United States with these leaks. Here's the Post story. I mean, and all over town, people are saying, well, the president did this and that. Look, I disagree with President Trump on a number of issues. But on this one, there can only be one president, and somebody in the intelligence community is trying to upend this president in order to pursue a policy direction that puts us in conflict with Russia. The question is why and who, and we need to find out.
So I think Kucinich nails it in this, and I want to remind you that Uncle Don and my cousin Lucy, who was also in the agency, both of them, I think this was a couple of years ago when it's at the reunion. They're saying, you got to understand, Putin really is a bad guy. He's horrible. He's trying to, bring back the Soviet Union. He's trying to really overthrow everything. He's a bad guy. They're all in. They believe it. They totally believe this. And what did we come up with? Maybe that was just still sour grapes from the last time we did this, or what were they? Why? Why are they so angry at him, at Russia?
What has he done?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he has done something that we don't know about.
Well, I mean, it's possible that the whole thing is because Trump's a lizard.
So there's a couple of things I heard, a couple of statements and quotes that keep on recurring. And one of them, which I found very odd, and I have a very good example from Morning Joe with one of the panel guys. One of the panel guys, not Mika and Joe.
By the way, I have a gratuitous Morning Joe clip myself.
This is not gratuitous.
I record it because it's on at 3 a.m. or something. You can play it if you want. It's just him going off on Trump as an idiot.
Yeah.
But the thing about that, again, it sticks in my brain, that thing that was done on Saturday Night Live, and I got to witness another aspect of it that I thought was kind of just a joke, where she turns completely in her chair and faces him and stares at his ear. It is so weird to watch this show.
All the reports I've been hearing out of the White House is the president is running around screaming at television sets. He's increasingly isolated. He's basically wanting to fire everybody. Yeah. But Kushner, who is also now shooting at all the staff members.
Who was behind the firing of Director Comey, reportedly.
So now Kushner and Trump are aligned against everybody else, blaming everybody else for the firing of Comey when it was Trump that fired Comey, and Kushner who supported firing Comey.
Yeah, and I have a couple. That's very gratuitous. I'll get back to the topic at hand. Every single journalist that I've heard reporting, like stand-up guys saying something, continuously talk about the president went off script. He went off script with the Russians in the Oval Office. He went off script. I'm like, what is this script? Well, now just listen to these journalists. And it's not even about the script. They're talking about, impeachment, bringing down democracy, whatever. But they keep talking about the president going off the so-called script. And you'll see that this is total.
This is interesting because I think this is damn, that was a good catch because I should have caught that because you're right. They keep saying that.
Oh, yeah. He went off script. There is a script. And you can only guess.
It must be, or he wouldn't go off it.
And you can only guess who puts the script together.
So, Greg, since you do have obviously a good source in the national security community who shared with you their concerns about the president leaking this, did he say anything else to the Russians that's important for our viewers or for Americans to hear? Did he, for example, admonish them for interfering in our election, as all the intelligence agencies have confirmed?
Well, that's another one of the
confirmed with the high confidence, not 100% confirmation.
The intelligence agencies have confirmed.
Well, that's another one of the big issues here. Our story touches on that a bit. There is a lot of frustration within the administration. There are professionals who are deeply knowledgeable about these regions around the world, and they take time, they put together pages of preparatory material for the president. 2 to 5 page papers, for instance, were prepared in advance of his meeting with these Russian officials. What he was supposed to stick to in terms of a script and what he could expect to hear from them, or what their questions were and how to handle those things. The president has insisted that all of this material be boiled down to less than a page of bullet points, and then often strays even from those. And so in this case, he just, again, goes off script. Not dissimilar to how badly he went off script in describing what he had done and why to the FBI Director James Comey.
It's off script. They give him a script, and then he doesn't read the script verbatim. He thinks he can wing it. He ad-libs with talking points. That's crazy. That's just nuts. He's off script.
This explains actually the script concept, that they're scripting him, and he won't do the script. He's president.
Right.
I'm the boss. Why should I be reading your scripts? Who's writing these scripts?
Well, that can only be the intelligence agencies.
Yeah, they're writing scripts for him.
They're writing scripts, and usually, like Obama. Well, you know what? There's a very good example here. It's our good friend, Professor Stephen Cohen.
Right. Cohen was making the rounds on Fox.
Yeah. Cohen was on Tucker, and I chopped this down significantly, of course, and I'm going to say, of course, once today and once only. And he came up with...
I missed it again.
I've been pretty good. Although, this is how it goes at home now.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go, well, yes, of course. Ah! And Tina's go, what happened? It's Tourette's, I'm sorry.
I do the same thing when I'm trying to get it out of a habit at dinner. And then when I hear somebody else do it, I call them out. And kind of people looking left and right because they don't listen to the show. Nobody.
No, they're like, what's wrong?
Jay will know. She'll know. And cause she listens to the show, and she'll be bright about it. Oh yeah, I can see it. But everyone else is what's the matter? Yeah.
So here's Cohen with his view of Russian collusion, Russian cooperation, and the fourth branch of government.
The president is accused of passing critical intelligence to the Russians in a meeting at the White House. Do you believe that happened?
No, and nor have I, in these decades you mentioned, ever heard an elected member of Congress say that we should have no relations with the Russians at all. Presumably that would include nuclear weapons control. When I see, I guess it was a Democrat, it's on the bottom of your screen, asking what are the Russians doing in the White House anyway? Well, they're doing with President Trump the national security of our nation, because what's at stake here is a proposal by Putin of Russia, by Trump of America, to join hands in an alliance against international terrorism.
Right.
And I would have asked you, if you had asked me a few days ago, what's the number one threat to the United States today? I would have said international terrorism. I don't know if you agree, Tucker, but it's certainly up there. Today, I would say it's this assault on President Trump because it's been going on a year. And can we be clear? What he's being accused of is treason. This has never happened in America, that there's a Russian agent in the White House. And we've had a whole array of allegations, from Putin helped him get in the White House to his associates are doing wrong things with Russians, that Flynn did something wrong in talking, his former national security advisor did something wrong with talking to the Russian ambassador. There's no evidence that there was any wrongdoing, and indeed Flynn should have talked to the Russian ambassador. That was his job. So this is beyond belief now, and has become, by this I mean this assault on Trump and his loyalty, this has become a national security threat to us in itself. I think two motives have driven this, I think, false narrative against Trump, that he's somehow a Kremlin agent. There have been two forces. One is the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, which doesn't want to admit she lost the election, wants to say, Clinton won, but Putin stole it from me.
Now, that is the best explanation I've ever heard anyone give. In one sentence, that really is the problem. I won the election, popular vote, but Putin made me lose. And everyone's all in on it.
And that may be because she wants to run again. I think that's a possibility. At the same time, there has long been in Washington a powerful, let's call it the fourth branch of government, the intelligence services, who have opposed any rapprochement or cooperation with Russia. Remember, in 2016, President Obama worked out a deal with Russian President Putin for military cooperation in Syria. He said he was going to share intelligence with Russia, just the way Trump and the Russians were supposed to do the other day. Right. Our Department of Defense said it wouldn't share intelligence. And a few days later, they killed Syrian soldiers, violating the agreement, and that was into that. So we can ask, who is making our foreign policy in Washington today? So you and I have to ask a subversive question. Are there really 3 branches of government, or is there a 4th branch of government? These intel services. What we know as a fact is that Obama tried, not very hard, but he tried, for a military alliance with Putin in Syria against terrorism, and it was sabotaged by the Department of Defense and its allies in the intelligence services. Trump says, he said on the campaign trail, wouldn't it be great to cooperate with Russia? My answer is, it would be great, and Trump seems to want that to happen, but he's being thwarted. Every time he gets close, we get a new leak.
And once again, I think we have a correct identification of the problem. And this leads me to believe that when the president said, hey, Comey, you better hope there's no, you weren't taped. I still think that people are reading it wrong. And
I agree with you.
And that he's saying, hey, man, those douchebags probably taped us at that dinner. Be careful what you tell, because you know it really happened. And, you know, it's everywhere. I didn't clip it, but Napolitano was on Fox and Friends or something stupid like that. And he said that Scalia told him that he was convinced CIA was, but that would have been, he said, at the request of President Obama, was tapping the Supreme Court, was wiretapping them or surveilling them or whatever. And you just got to believe it. I think this is what's coming to the front. I mean, you know, there's a really good document that someone gave me. Let me find this for a second. And it was a report from the CIA. Here we go. A report from the CIA, declassified documents. And this was their media openness plan. Let me just bring this up here for a second. So this is from 1991, Director of Central Intelligence, from the Task Force on Greater CIA Openness. Subject is the Task Force Report on Greater CIA Openness. In response to your reference request, the task force addressed the following. How can we do a better job of informing the general public and key constituencies about the need for a strong intelligence effort and about the missions and accomplishments of the intelligence community in a changing world? To what extent do the dramatic changes in the world situation and the needs of oversight and accountability to the American people and the representatives dictate a re-examination of policies on classification and release of records? And finally, how can we use openness to learn from others outside the agency in order to improve our capabilities and our people? And they talked to television and newspaper news directors, and they came up with an assessment. They have all the questions here. I guess they gave them a questionnaire. Let me get to the results here. This is one of those scanned documents, so you can't search in it.
Right.
Hold on. And of course, it's not cooperating. Damn it.
The idea.
Of course, this would always happen while I'm doing this segment. Here we go. I'm having your scrolling. Here. All of the participants agreed that an effective public affairs program for the CIA was necessary, and that whatever changes were made to increase openness, all would expect the CIA to keep the secrets it is charged to protect. In whatever program we pursue, we should get our employees on board first, be consistent, be excellent, be credible, admit that when we are wrong, personalize the agency, and preserve the mystique. And this came from media officials. Oh, please preserve the mystique. And you got to get everybody on board first.
Well, yes, but nowadays, it's very easy to write these sorts of memos because nobody in the media who are all on board too will ever discuss or dissect the thing the way you're doing right now, because they're all part of the whole scheme. It's a giant scheme. Fantastic.
Yes, it is. It's a huge scheme, and it truly is CIA who's doing this. Document states further, now I'm reading from an article about it. CIA Task Force now has relationships with reporters from every major wire service, newspaper, news weekly, and television network in the nation, and that this has helped us turn some intelligence failure stories into intelligence success stories. and has contributed to the accuracy of countless others. Furthermore, it explains how the agency has persuaded reporters to postpone, change, hold, or even scrap stories that could have adversely affected national security interests or jeopardized sources and methods. I guess CIA is pretty damn powerful.
The fourth branch.
Truly the fourth branch.
What are you going to do if you're... Here's the thing that gets me about the current situation. Let's assume all this is correct, and I have to do that. Here goes the Zephyr. What time is it? Let's assume that all this is correct. There is no organization of this size where everybody's in total agreement.
Yeah, I agree.
So
in our organization, it's easy for us to agree.
And we're not in total agreement.
Not always.
So there's factions, because there has to be. There always is.
Yeah.
Factions within the agency. And there's only one faction, that's this Trump haters that you have personal connections with.
Yes.
And the Trump the Trump haters and the Putin haters is what really the base of it. They hate Trump because of the Putin connection.
Yeah.
And
they'll find it, the Putin connection.
And then, did you trying that little device again?
No.
So what turns that off? In other words, is the Putin hate bad guy's a bad guy's a bad guy? Is that something that's old school? Is that new school? Is that something that's fading? Is that something that's growing?
This is what I don't understand.
We don't know any of this. This is what. So even this memo. Let's be more open. They're not open at all. We have no idea what the hell's going on.
I mean, on one hand, it would make sense that they need to have an enemy that is an intelligence enemy. So that for their own preservation.
Well, yes, to maintain their budget.
But also, I think that they are a huge industry. The drugs, the guns. We know that this is what they do. They could probably top the Dow.
Now, one of the guys, I got a clip from this guy. This is the Eric Prince, our buddy.
Yeah, I saw he was he doing the rounds as well?
Yeah, no, I only saw him once. And
I saw him, I forget where I saw him, but what was interesting, he was
on Tucker. That's where you saw him.
But he was never Chironed as Blackwater. In Tucker's intro, he said Blackwater, but then it was it's like former Navy SEAL.
Well, he's not with Blackwater anymore.
I know, but he is the douchebag that set it up.
Yes, well, he is. But he is also very tight with the intelligence community. And he is, in fact, I was reading some bio of him. His operation, Blackwater, actually hired the CIA to do things.
Yeah.
So in many ways, the CIA was working for him.
Yes. This is. Oh no! You sent me that you sent me that article to read last night.
That's another thing that's interesting. Yes, again, there's where George H.W. Bush shows up prominently in a covert, a kind of a rogue CIA operation called the what's the name of that group? It's called the Safari Club.
Yes, Safari Club. Yeah,
and it was a bunch of different rogue.
I'd never heard of this Safari Club. That was new to me.
Yeah, it was new to me too. But none of it was a surprise.
Now, who was in it? It was
supposedly
Saudi Arabia. It was Saudi Arabia, France. Who else was in it?
It was a bunch of guys. Iran, when it was run by the Shah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other groups. And they formed this. Then they were to cause trouble in Zaire and some other things. It was very interesting memo. You should put it in the show notes so people can read it.
It's already in there. And just as a little aside, show day, possible terror attack, Times Square. Car driving up the wrong direction, 7th Avenue, mowing people down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Show day.
Yeah.
So Eric Prince, though, is like he's connected in a very interesting way. I think he'd be actually a good guy to have a beer with.
But that's what we said about Comey, too. And now I'm thinking he's a douche.
I think Comey might be worth having a beer with.
Wow.
He might be a douche. Yeah. But a lot of people you have beer with are douches. It's
hell yeah.
Now, Prince has got a perspective that's a little different, and he's bringing some things up that I think is messaging to the intelligence community in a very funny kind of way.
Russia isn't the only foreign policy concern we face, despite the news of the past week. President Trump is about to visit numerous countries during his first trip abroad as president. He's considering a proposal to send thousands of U.S. troops to bolster Afghanistan's government.
It's not like we haven't been reporting this for the past month and a half about the buildup in Kuwait City, getting ready. He's not sending them. They're already in the region. They're in the theater.
Yeah, we're the only ones reporting it.
Yes, thank you.
To bolster Afghanistan's government. Eric Prince is a former Navy SEAL. He founded the private military company Blackwater. Some reports say that he was in the Seychelles recently to establish a back channel between Trump and the Russian government. He says that is untrue. Yeah. He joins us tonight, but undeniably has views about Russia. Well, first of all, that's not true. The reports are not true.
Well, first of all, if there is this leftist conspiracy of this great Trump and Putin conspiracy, why would I have to be meeting with anybody in the Seychelles to establish a back channel anyway?
You can be meeting at Starbucks on Pennsylvania Avenue.
It's a self-defeating argument.
Good point. How should we see the Russians?
Look, the Russians suffer from Islamic terrorism as well, whether it's attacks in their subways, their schools. The Beslan massacre killed over 300 kids. They suffer from it as badly as we do. So that is actually one area of common interest that the United States, Western civilization, and Russia should have with the Russians.
That seems an obvious point. Trump ran on that point. A lot of people thought it was common sense. Why the resistance to that among foreign policy professionals in D.C.?
It's amazing. When I grew up in the Cold War, the left loved the USSR.
Yes.
Never criticized it ever. And now that you have a more authoritarian but not a communist running Russia, they are the bad guys. It's amazing how that works.
Is it because it's Eastern Orthodox? Because it's an Orthodox country? Is it a religious question? I mean, what is that about?
They're not embracing the leftist worldview, I guess. I mean, this rush to judgment by the left, I guess, is kind of perfect for the Democratic Party, the party of lynch mobs and Jim Crow laws.
I heard that.
Rushing to judgment without much fact.
I heard that. I said, I got to remember to say that when someone's like,
rushing to judgment with no fact. This is reminding me when he said that, rushing to judgment with no facts, which is what we're witnessing.
Yeah,
is reminding me of my two liberal buddies.
Oh yes, yeah. Your newspaper
and they're
guys.
They're on the verge. They're gloating so much about which we'll talk about. And I think maybe we should just back up a second and mention there's three major stories we're trying to discuss at the same time.
Yeah.
One is the phony baloney little memo from Mueller. Another one
from Comey, not Mueller.
Comey. I'm sorry, Comey. The second one is the hiring of Mueller to be a special counsel, even though they keep calling him a special prosecutor.
Which is a fantastic choice.
Yeah, it's for a number of different reasons. And the last one is the uncovering of more information about the death of Seth Rich.
Yeah.
The DNC staffer, who's the one that I believe, and I think you would agree maybe, that he's the one who leaked the DNC documents to WikiLeaks.
And there's a problem with this story, and it broke big, and then immediately the pushback came, although not with any video or audio of anybody. Apparently, the family saying, "Oh, that guy doesn't represent us." I have a clip of that guy if you want to play it.
I want to get to that after I just mentioned that the two liberals.
Yeah.
I'm working on a bet. Because they're all giddy about the Mueller thing because they're hoping they don't realize the law's actually been changed a little bit. And even though in the hiring of Mueller, he was supposed to go after the Russian connection to the Hillary Clinton hack, and prove it or disprove it. But in the document that was put down by the Assistant Attorney General, he says and all related matters.
Yes,
and everyone's all giddy about that, thinking, "Oh, now that Trump is doomed, he's going to be impeached." Everybody's
I'm seeing, it's not impeached, John. It's the I word.
I haven't heard that.
Oh,
in the last 24 hours, we keep hearing that I word a lot.
It's everywhere. It's I've clip after clip with I word impeachment. I word impeachment. The I word, like it's saying fuck. The I word, the F word, the R word, the S word, the M word.
The N word.
The N word. In the future, we'll just be going, hey, you N word, how you doing on that I word thing?
Now, since you got to, anyways, we were trying to form a bet how long Trump's going to last because they think he's going to bail. Yeah. Now, this bail thing is the one thing that's a little more subtle.
Are they thinking he's going to bail or be impeached? Or like Nixon, he will bail before he's impeached?
Yeah.
The script. It's the script. Yeah.
Now, here is of course, again, I've warned people about it. This happens, after the 2-year mark. You're going to have a dominionist Christian in office. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can live with it.
Yeah, we're ready. We want Pence.
Now, so Deutsche Welle, which had one of the harshest reports, and it almost sounded like it was scripted by CBS, which is the Central Intelligence Agency broadcasting system. It had all because I have the CBS reports and I listen to Deutsche Welle, except Deutsche Welle kicked it up a notch and brought in a professor from American University who is this guy is, talk about unhinged. He is just gone completely nuts. And like my liberal friends, he assumes this is all a done deal.
Well, I'm joined now by Chris Edelson, assistant professor in the Department of Government at American University in Washington. He's author of the book Power Without Restraint. Mr. Edelson, it's good to have you on the show. We have heard in the last 24 hours that the U.S. president needs to be disciplined along with the White House. Do you think that the power of President Trump needs to be restrained?
What? Restraining the power of the president? Is that what they're calling? This guy's calling for?
No, wait until you hear what he actually wants.
Oh.
Yes, this is a national crisis. We need to think creatively about what to do. The Speaker of the House you had on, you were hearing a moment ago, said we need to be slow. The legal matters need to be sorted out, but he should go now. People should be calling him to resign. We should think creatively, if he doesn't resign, about what we can do to solve this problem.
Well, what can be done? Why don't you put your creativity hat on for us for a second? What could be done to get him out of office tonight?
Two options. One is impeachment was mentioned. That's possible. Impeachment is slow, though, and it, of course, requires 2/3 of the majority in the Senate to vote to impeach, to remove him from office, which I doubt will happen. That would require Republicans to take action. I doubt it. We should talk about, that's why resignation is another option. There's a process under the 25th Amendment where the vice president and the cabinet can declare that the president is not fit to serve, and that can result in his removal. Congress would have to approve that too. Yeah. I think we should think about calling for a constitutional amendment to call for a new election. We should explore all of these possibilities. None of these are going to happen immediately, but they should all be explored. The quickest thing that could happen would be for him to resign, and we should call on him to do that.
Well, Mr. Edelson, barring a resignation, all of these measures that you suggest are only possible if a majority in Congress wants it. And the only majority we have in the U.S. Congress is a Republican majority.
I got to top you. I'm sorry. Got to top you. That's not the craziest theory I've heard. Maybe your boys can get in on this. From author Alan Lichtman. You familiar with him?
Yeah, but before you go there, I want to deconstruct a couple of things that were said here.
Sorry.
One, the Deutsche Welle guy says, we have a Republican Congress.
Yeah, well, he means CIA.
And the other thing is that nobody mentioned the constitutional amendment, which was the stupidest thing the guy says. I don't know if you can top that, but it's pretty dumb, and it takes forever to get one of those passed. Does anyone out there realize, realize the Equal Rights Amendment has never been passed?
Never been ratified.
Never been ratified, but it has been ratified state by state by state.
Yeah.
All right, you can top it. Go.
I can top it because besides the 25th Amendment, which would mean the president is incapable and the vice president, the cabinet,
he's yelling at TVs.
Yes, I have example after example of this stuff. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. No, Alan Lichtman, author. Do you respect him in any regard as an author?
I don't really know him, and I don't know his works.
Okay. I don't think you'll need to read it after you hear this little ditty. He has written a book called Crimes Against Humanity.
I know we associate crimes against humanity typically with genocide, like what happened in Cambodia in the 1970s, or horrifically in the Holocaust. Don't even get me started on how the Trump team deals with the Holocaust. That was my last book, FDR and the Jews.
What? Yeah, because they hate the Jews. The Jews and the Jews. Yeah. Don't even get me started about how he hates the Jews and denies the Holocaust. That was a pretty bad Jewish accent.
That was my last book, FDR and the Jews.
Oh, shit.
Let's just listen to that again. I'm just going to call that guy douchebag.
The Holocaust. Don't even get me started on how the Trump team deals with the Holocaust. That was my last book, FDR and the Jews. But, all right. However, the International Criminal Court, which prosecutes genocides, has recently put a new priority on crimes against the environment, which would include catastrophic climate change. My wife, who's a climate activist, runs a climate change PAC, alerted me to all of these things that are going on with climate change. Now, let me quote you something. In 2009, a group of businessmen wrote a letter to then President Barack Obama. This is more than 7 years ago. And they said, the science is irrefutable. Irrefutable.
I thought it was irrefutable. I never heard it pronounced.
I think you can pronounce it both ways. I'm pretty sure you can.
Irrefutable, this controversy.
That unless we take strong action against climate change, the consequences are going to be catastrophic for our planet. And they went on to say, doing this won't hurt the economy. It'll help the economy by moving us into a new economic era.
Oh, yeah.
Guess who signed that letter?
Ooh, so this is
Donald J. Trump.
Oh, no.
Ivanka Trump.
Oh, no.
Eric Trump.
Oh, no.
And Donald Jr.
Oh.
What has changed in 7+ years? Science is even more compelling. Over 97% of scientists who publish in this area are in agreement. The threat is more...
At least he said it correctly, except it's going to be published, but should be published in this area.
Over 97% of scientists who publish in this area are in agreement. The threat is more immediate and more urgent. You can read about it every day. So what has changed is only Donald Trump's political calculation that to make it in the Republican Party, he had to join the discredited ranks of the deniers or, at minimum, of the skeptics. And he has taken so many policies that not only halt progress in dealing with climate change, but throttle back progress. The Donald Trump of 2009 would be the first one calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump.
The science is in. Science.
So he can be impeached for crimes against humanity.
No, against the environment.
Yeah, and humanity. Crimes against the environment.
The environment is humanity somehow.
But
now, do we have a copy of that letter? I'd like to see that. It's very funny. Do we know it exists, or is the guy full of crap?
I have no idea. I don't have a copy.
I'm going to find one.
But I do have a nice little...
There should be that, by the way. Just as an aside, you and I are both the social media mavens. We know what we're doing.
And social justice warriors.
That letter should have been all over the Twitterverse and the Facebooks and the internet.
I agree. The
Where
Facebags.
is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
This one guy has this note. I mean, I would have thought that this would have shown up during the campaign. I would think that if this letter existed, that Hillary would have been shaking it at the podium.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah, you'd think. Go for it, War Room. Go for it. Now, what I really like, and Tucker did this with somebody, and a couple of hosts have been saying, okay, is there evidence? Well, no, there's sources say. Yeah, but is there evidence? No, we got sources. You're gonna love this. Now you can try this out. I don't know if you'll get the same result, but you should tape it with your little tape recorder when you talk to your boys, your newspaper boys, and say kind of the same things that former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie, of course, a Trump operative, went on that morning show with Cuomo, and what's the girl's name? Who's with the Cuomo kid?
I don't. CNN is not my baby.
Yeah, I forget her name. And he did this line of counter questioning by saying, "Well, what sources?" And you want to hear someone get triggered? Boom!
Listening to all this BS, quite frankly. And did you listen to anything McMaster said today where he said, I was in the room, that didn't happen, nothing inappropriate was shared? You're basing all these allegations off of one or maybe two sources, which CNN reports. Two former officials knowledgeable of the situation confirmed to CNN the main points of the story. Two former officials. Tell you what, come out, name those people, then we'll have something to talk about.
One, we protect sources. Two, it's not just CNN. It's Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNN, ABC,
yeah, but who
NBC.
Who are the sources?
Carl.
Who are the sources? Oh, because they're hiding behind this anonymity.
Oh,
and that's what we're seeing.
Please, do not even start with me that you're just going to attack sources.
Okay, so
that is ridiculous.
So are you saying McMaster's lying?
I'm not saying McMaster is lying.
Well, he didn't really answer the question.
He didn't answer the question.
He said nothing inappropriate was shared.
No, that's his opinion.
That would be.
But that's his opinion.
You cannot attack.
Yeah.
Do not attack the stellar reporters of CNN who have their sources and would protect their
reporters of CNN that I am going to attack right now and say, guess what? I don't believe them because they're staying anonymous. If they stand behind this story, come out, face the camera.
Can I just say something?
All they've been doing is facing the camera, Carl.
The people who are in that room.
We have anonymous sources. We protect them for real reasons. So the information that is important to the public can get out.
Happen? I mean, those were anonymous sources. Was that not a real story?
I'm saying that there's
so anytime there's been an anonymous source, but seriously, so Watergate, it was all a lie because it was anonymous sources.
It was a trial.
Right.
Yeah, there was an actual crime that took place, an actual trial. I love this. Whoa! What, Carl? What are you talking about? No. Sources, I'm in front of the camera all day telling everybody this. About the sources.
You know, that sources thing became such an issue that when CBS finally did it, and we might as well play one of these intros so we can get to the topics.
Yeah.
I think it's skirting
No. You can't get to the topic. This is the topic. This is the topic. But okay.
Well, it is the topic, and I think doing the full Comey rundown, CBS 1, which is this clip, CBS was so paranoid about the sources thing that they had to throw in a gratuitous little ditty at the very beginning of the report that I know stemmed from the fact that these sources are very questionable, and this whole report is probably bull crap.
The former FBI director, James Comey, fired last week by President Trump, wrote a memo claiming that the president tried to shut down the FBI's investigation of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. This story was first reported this evening by the New York Times, but our source has confirmed the contents of the memo. Comey wrote the memo after meeting with the president, and he notes that President Trump said that he hoped Comey would let go of the Flynn investigation. Presidents usually try not to influence FBI investigations of their administrations to avoid the appearance of obstruction of justice. Tonight, the White House denies the president tried to shut down the investigation, and our justice correspondent Jeff Pegues has more on this breaking story.
President Trump and then FBI Director James Comey met at the White House on February 14th, the day after National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was fired. Flynn had lied to the vice president about his contacts with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Those contacts are now under investigation by the FBI. Comey wrote up a memo about the meeting with the president. In it, he said that Mr. Trump had asked him to drop the Flynn investigation. I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, he wrote. He is a good guy. A senior White House official denied that account and said the president never asked Mr. Comey or anyone else to end any investigation, including any investigation involving General Flynn. Just last week, acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe told Congress there has been no interference in the Russia investigation.
So there has been no effort to impede our investigation to date.
But a law enforcement source told CBS News there is a whole lot of interfering happening. Comey was fired last week, and the president said it was because of his handling of the Russia investigation.
No, he didn't.
In a 2014 60 Minutes interview, Comey said it was imperative that the FBI resist any political pressure.
Hold on a second. You said that Trump did not change the story?
No, Trump didn't say that he fired Comey because of the Russian investigation.
This is what's being said.
I know, but he put it on the memo, which was written by this assistant attorney general, and that memo, which is what Trump used as leverage to fire Comey, specifically said it was about the Hillary emails that he got fired. It wasn't because of this. This has been twisted to say this. And furthermore, the more interesting thing about this whole story is, let me read from this article, this following piece of information. Under the law, Comey is required to immediately inform the Department of Justice of any attempt to obstruct justice by any person, even the president. Failure to do so would result in...
It's a felony.
Yes, it's this 18 U.S.C. and 28 U.S. Code 1361. He would also, upon sufficient proof, lose his license to practice law if he didn't report it immediately.
Yeah, that's a small problem. Just a small one.
So this is bull crap.
There was another letter that was sent from a number of senators, and it's in the show notes at 930.noagendanotes.com. And in that memo, the Senate Intelligence Committee says, hey, since according to the New York Times and everything that's been reported, Comey was taking copious notes, so we presume he did that for Obama and Hillary, and we'd like those as well. So we'd like all of the notes, not just the ones about Trump, which I think is a nice little curveball.
It's a curveball that's going to go nowhere.
Of course.
And here's the reason it's going to go nowhere was only explained, as far as I can tell, once, and it was explained by Judge Napolitano. And you might as well play this clip. This is Napolitano lays it out.
Okay.
Here's what's on my mind. Everybody that wants to see those Comey memos, you're not going to see them because they are now going to be subject to the special counsel, and he operates under the federal rules of criminal procedure, which prohibit them from being displayed to the public. First thing he's going to do is impanel that grand jury. Everybody gets a letter to preserve everything, written and digital. You don't surrender anything to anybody because I get to look at it first. That includes the materials that have been subpoenaed by the Senate and the materials that have been subpoenaed by the House. So this will really ratchet down things, waiting for an end result. The Republicans want that end result soon. The Democrats want that end result closer to the 2018 election. That's going to be determined by Bob Mueller and the facts as he sees them. But this is going to be a below-the-radar screen, Bob Mueller in charge investigation.
So if James Comey had a desire to sort of tell his side of the story, and, his name was really trashed in many ways by the president after his firing, which I know you took some issue with, he will not get that opportunity now.
Correct.
He's going to have to wait for that.
He now knows that he will be a witness in a criminal investigation, and he knows that he should not say anything until he testifies before a grand jury, or he but gives evidence to Bob Mueller's investigators, who used to work for him.
So after
I have a nuanced question about this. First, it was we need a special prosecutor, then we need a special investigator, and now we have a special counsel. I really think the words matter. Do you know what the nuance is in this particular case?
No, I don't know the absolute nuance, but I know that a special prosecutor was based on a law that's long since, I think, been repealed, and this is based on a newer law, which gave him wider range. They could go wandering around and find, which has happened more than once, where the guys decided just to go crazy and just because he got all his power. And it was always the fear that this could happen again with the next guy, even though he's a counsel. I don't think it's that different, but it is a different name. So we have to continue to kind of look into it. I just wanted to because based on that Napolitano clip, I actually had a setup clip for that, which I want to play because what you heard there, I think, is right. I think Comey, for example, if he testifies or says anything to anybody, when they impanel the grand jury, he's going to be grilled about that with, no way to defend himself because you don't get an attorney to help you in a grand jury. No. You just have to talk.
Right.
So I wonder how dumb both the Senate committee is and the House committee when I hear a clip like this one. This is the setup clip with Chafee, the guy who's the head of the House committee that will be investigating this.
Last night, the House Oversight Committee asked the FBI to produce all of the notes of former Director Comey's conversations with the president. Jason Chaffetz chairs that committee, and he is joining us now from Utah. Mr. Chairman, how does the appointment of a special prosecutor change your plans to investigate this?
Oh, look, the House has its own equities, and we will continue to pursue our own investigation and still plan and hope to have a hearing with Director Comey as early as next week.
I have a Chaffetz
clip.
Bets?
Any bets on this?
I would bet no.
Yeah, I bet no.
I would bet no. I have a Chaffetz clip.
So you heard Nancy Pelosi, the longtime Democratic leader in the House, describe Robert Mueller as not truly independent. Do you think he's truly independent?
He's as good as it gets. I mean, his credentials are impeccable. He served in the Bush administration, the Obama administration. No, he is unassailable in terms of his credentials, his background, and I think your point is well taken. He's in the latter part of his career. He has nothing to prove. He's been silent politically. It doesn't get any better than Robert Mueller if you're going to do it. I also agree that I don't think they should have actually appointed somebody.
Why did they?
I mean, I think they're feeling the political heat. Maybe they're watching a little too much television and reading too many newspapers and whatnot. But look, I have not seen any evidence of actual collusion. Where is the actual crime that they think they need a special prosecutor to prosecute? I haven't seen that. There's been a lot of flailing, but that flailing started before January 20th.
Did you expect this?
I'm very surprised by it. No heads up. I don't think the Speaker's office got a heads up, and I at least read online that the White House only got about 30 minutes heads up. So, no, it caught us totally out of the blue.
We have several attorneys in our producer pool, and, of course, it didn't take long. So what is a special counsel, and what is the difference between a special counsel, a special prosecutor, and an independent counsel? The terms are largely interchangeable to refer to someone appointed to investigate allegations that could involve a conflict of interest within the Department of Justice. But the manner in which they are appointed and why has changed over time. Here it comes. The statute regarding the grounds for appointing a special counsel says the Attorney General or acting Attorney General in cases where the Attorney General is recused can appoint a special counsel when a case presents a conflict of interest for the Justice Department or other extraordinary circumstances. In this case, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein was able to appoint Mueller because Attorney General Jeff Sessions has recused himself. So it's kind of the same thing. It's just who gets to appoint him, who gets to appoint the counsel. Now, let's talk about Mueller for a moment, because the thing, we know a couple things about Mueller. Let's just backgrounder. One, he came in a few months before 9/11. His 10-year term, meant to not have J. Edgar Hoover crap going on in the FBI, was extended by, I believe, 2 years by Obama. He had an office at Facebook. He had his own office and would walk in, "Hey, Zuck, how you doing?" That was in Time magazine. So what do we think of this guy for this?
Well, I would like to play, because there's a little gotcha in there that I think you left out of your list, which makes this clip even better. This is the Mueller, Obama. Mueller CBS Rundown 1. This is the story.
Obama. Rundown 1. Okay.
We're reporting from the White House tonight because of the rapidly developing investigation into whether the president tried to shut down an FBI investigation of his administration. Among the developments, late today, the Department of Justice announced it will appoint a former FBI director, Robert Mueller, as an independent special counsel to investigate the Trump administration and allegations of Russian interference with the presidential election. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee tells CBS News he expects fired FBI Director James Comey will testify next Wednesday. The stock markets fell sharply in the turmoil. The Dow was down 372 points, almost 2%. The NASDAQ fell by more than 2.5%. Mr. Trump complained today that, quote, no politician in history has been treated worse or more unfairly. It's been another day of momentous events, and Jeff Pegues has the latest.
The tipping point came yesterday when it was revealed that former FBI Director James Comey had taken notes about his February meeting with President Trump. The meeting took place the day after National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was fired for lying to the vice president.
Does this guy have to take an unbelievable dump or what?
He has to take a crap any minute.
I'm going to take a dump.
Security Advisor Michael Flynn was fired for lying to the vice president about his contacts with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. In his memo, Comey wrote that President Trump said, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. That raised the specter of obstruction of justice. And today, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein decided that the Justice Department could no longer run the investigation. He authorized a special counsel to ensure a full and thorough investigation of the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. Rosenstein's pick of Robert Mueller to run the investigation investigation puts a veteran law enforcement official at the helm. Mueller is best known for leading the FBI for 12 years after the 9/11 attacks. Before that, he led the U.S. investigation of the Pan Am 103 bombing in 1988.
Oh, man. Oh, damn it. Bend over, you whore.
Clip of the day.
Oh, crap. No one ever talks about that.
No.
As an aside, in Texas, we say Miller and not Mueller for some unknown reason.
Call it Miller?
We say
Really?
Miller. Yeah, Miller. Yeah, it's over there by Miller. Miller.
I like to call it Mueller because then you go, Mueller.
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 You got to find out who that guy was. How did he get into the broadcasting?
Mueller.
That guy's the perfect.
Yes, I have no idea.
Perfect voice for
talks like sounds like an engine trying to start up.
He has the perfect
not
voice for podcasting. Really. Sorry.
The way I see it.
Yeah. Hey, just a little.
Pan Am, the most corrupt situation. In fact, there was a highlighted in that movie you love so much, which you should mention.
Yeah.
Hypernormalization, which is Adam Curtis's latest flick, is 2.5 hours, a little long, but everyone should watch this movie. Yeah. It's all no agenda.
Yeah.
And
except the end, he goes a little bit off the rails for my taste.
He's trying to soften it up a bit. Yeah. But he talks all about the Pan Am locker disaster. And apparently Mueller was part of the guy who was like shifted this blame from Syria, where the blame belonged, to Libya, which was great stuff about Libya in that movie. How Gaddafi was just a stooge every time he turned around.
Yeah.
And there's Mueller. There he is.
The best part about that, and I remembered it, is that Trump gave Gaddafi land for him to pitch his tent.
Yeah, and then bragged about ripping him off.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I want you to be queen.
That's right.
My love for you is almost obscene. I really hope you know what I mean. Maxine.
We don't have to be afraid to use the word impeachment. We don't have to think that impeachment is out of our reach. All we have to do is make sure that we are talking to the American public, that we're keeping them involved, that we're resisting every day, and we're challenging every day, and we're calling this president to account for what he's doing and what he's saying. I believe in this very strongly, and so I don't know what's going to happen after today when all of the questions are being raised about him sharing this classified information, but I think this is going to put us a little bit further on our way to what I've been calling for so long, and that is impeachment. Thank you. My millennials, stay woke.
Yo, she is beautiful.
Now, there's something else that besides the violation of U.S. code by Comey if he didn't report the so-called intimidation, is that the president is the final arbiter of what's classified and what's not.
Yeah, he can do that whenever he wants.
And the president can declassify everything if he wanted to. He wouldn't, of course, do that. And there's probably some stuff that's super high-level, top secret that he wouldn't knows exists to be declassified. But generally speaking, the classification is under his final control. So if he even leaks classified information, he can just declassify it.
Yeah, but this is not what is being discussed. The programming that is going into people's brains, and it really is in there with very intelligent people who I know personally. They truly believe, and these are people who are not getting or up for re-election or up for an election in 2018. These are people who are not electable for anything. They truly believe that this was collusion with our enemy. So they also believe Russia is our enemy. We're not doing it. There's no nuclear treaty, the START treaty. There's none of that. No, there's nothing. We're not trying to fight terrorism together. No, there's none of that. No, it's clearly
we have a Russian in the space station.
Yeah, kick that guy out.
We can't even get to the space station without the Russians' help.
But what is happening is, certainly for the older audience, who are the only people watching MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, for the older audience, we're kind of easing history into it for everybody. This is a promo from MSNBC for the lesbian, and the lesbian being Chris Hayes, of course.
Watergate. We know its name because there were reporters who never stopped asking questions. Now, who knows where the questions will take us, but I do know this. I'm not going to stop asking them.
That's right. Questions just like Watergate. We're not going to stop asking them. I'm Chris Hayes, MSNBC. Be better. They're bringing in historians.
That's not even well reported, because Watergate was largely not a piece of or a function of asking a lot of questions. It was mostly a function of meeting some guy in a basement.
Two 15-year-old girls. Two 15-year-old girls.
Yeah, well, besides the girls. Meeting some guy in a basement who was a CIA guy who was feeding them the information that they would just write down and then report. It's just bull crap.
Well, here's a professor from Yale, Timothy Snyder, on that same MSNBC History Channel.
Timothy, let me start with you and your book on tyranny. We were just talking about how so much of what we've seen over the last 3-4 months has been described as unprecedented, and that there's not a great sense of history in America or history in the world.
Oh, John, do you know what this is? Precedent. This is unprecedented. I mean, what does this remind you of? It's not just Watergate.
You take a little bit longer view of things in this book.
Yeah, what I try to do is imitate the Founding Fathers. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, they were worried about
them. Yeah, I'm imitating them right now. Yeah. That's right. I'm imitating them. Hey, where's my slave? Yeah, I'm imitating the Founding Fathers.
The Founding Fathers. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution.
I think he meant to say irritating the Founding Fathers. Maybe he just missed.
Great sense of history in America or history in the world. You take a little bit longer view of things in this book.
Yeah, what I try to do is imitate the Founding Fathers. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, they were worried about the future of the Republic. They looked back at examples of democracies and republics failing. When we can today look back at the 20th century, we also see that most republics and most democracies fail. What history can do is spread our imagination so that we can see how they fail and give us tools to try to help us. Because a lot of the things that are happening to us are just the early stages of processes that have happened elsewhere. So history can help.
And what do you see in terms of a parallel of the last
history can help
20th centuries? You've watched the first few months of the Trump administration. Is there a parallel?
Oh, John, come on. This is an Ask John. What's the parallel? What's the parallel?
Hitler.
Yes.
Of course, there are all kinds of parallels, and every day one sees a new one. So, for example, with the firing of Mr. Comey, there are a couple of things. First of all, the idea of loyalty. Loyalty is a way that you take a rule of law state like ours off the rails and transform it into something else. When the president asked the FBI director for loyalty,
is he implying that this was against the law?
No, it's Hitlerian. Wait for it.
Law state like ours off the rails and transform it into something else. When the president asks the FBI director for loyalty, he's actually trying to change the character of the American government. Hitler in 1934 began to demand precisely loyalty, and it was from that moment forward that he was the leader and no longer just the chancellor of Germany. Or, for example, firing Mr. Comey by sending over a head of a private security detail. That's what happens in Germany as well. The private security detail eventually becomes the SA.
Oh, it's the SS, SA, then the SS, the private security detail.
The SS, they become more important than the police. It's a baby step forward to use the head of your private bodyguard to fire the FBI director, but it's a troubling indication of the way this man's mind works.
Yes, he has read Mein Kampf one time too many.
Okay, clip of the day for you two.
Thank you very much.
Clip of the day.
Now, it's an embarrassment to anyone who's ever studied history. And by the way, this ask for loyalty meme.
Yeah.
It's nothing he's ever done. Somebody suggested to him, would you ask Comey? It would make him take loyalty to you.
Good idea.
And that's what Trump said. Trump said, yeah, that'd be a great idea. I think he was just kidding.
Yeah.
In his way of kidding.
Well, regardless, he didn't do that this is twisting the facts.
No, this is all twisting the facts, and it's actually it's in such a massive scale.
Yeah.
It brings us back to my belief, which is the one that suggests that the CIA has a lot of people planted in the media, and they're paying them. I think, yes, in that memo you cited, they want to influence people, but I think that there's just...
Hold on. I have clips for that. I have clips. You want to finish your thought?
I think that all you're going to do is prove me right.
Yes, I am. David Gregory, Chip, is how we call him often.
Is there any sign that he's been weakened? He's certainly getting beat up and not helped by how they're handling it. But the base numbers, every time they measure it, strong.
Right. Well, they are strong for now, but they've been getting weaker. I'm certainly not going to predict the president's political future. We've all been wrong about that. But I also think we have to take things one step at a time. I mean, within the media itself, you got Fox News out there savaging everybody, talking about this is activism over journalism. Stop yourselves. Okay, let's just keep our eye. Journalism matters. We have been reminded of that in the past few days.
Journalism matters.
There's been great journalism that's come out of the...
We need signs like Black Lives Matter. Journalism matters.
Keep our eye. Journalism matters. We have been reminded of that in the past few days. There's been great journalism that's come out of the Trump administration. Everybody's got to do their job. Journalists do their job. See where that takes you. Congress has got to do its job.
Do your job.
You've got a president who is both ill-informed, who does not have experience, and who thinks he can bully his way through our democratic system.
So I read that as do your job. You're not doing your job right. You're doing it wrong. And I have two more.
I just want to mention something.
Yeah, sure.
Do you remember in 2008 when Obama, who had no experience, got in office and there was a big brouhaha early on about, oh, do you want him to fail? You trying to make him fail? You're going to make him fail? No, we don't want Rush Limbaugh and all these guys were in on this because they're always slightly critical. And then they all had to back off saying, no, we're not we don't want the president to fail. We do not want Obama to fail. We don't want him to fail. These guys, what happened to that kind of thinking? Now they want him to fail.
The reason why is racism. They had to say that, because otherwise they would not just be shitty Republicans, they would be racists. That's why. That's why none of that was said. None of it. MSNBC, Julia Ihoff, young girl, new, I've not seen her around the block, CIA asset.
What's even more scary is that half the country, I think, is watching a different channel tonight, and they're getting this from a totally different perspective. And you have certain Republican senators saying, well, it's unclassified the second it leaves the president's mouth. He has the ability, the legal ability, and the legal right to declassify anything he deems worth declassifying. So I think a lot of people are going to be getting that spin on the story, and
your spin, Mr. Dvorak.
This is going to look increasingly.
It's not a spin. It's a fact.
Wait. It gets better with this girl.
Worth declassifying. So I think a lot of people are going to be getting that spin on the story, and this is going to look increasingly like last week's kerfuffle over the photographers, as the media being out to get Trump, and he's just trying to shake things up. And what's wrong with making a deal with the Russians, who are also fighting the same guys that we are in Syria, which is of course not at all true.
Not at all true. No, the Russians are fighting somebody else. It's not at all true. So what she's saying is, I wanted to go a little deeper than just this guy is CIA. I mean, that's easy.
She's slick.
Mm-hmm. And she's pretty good looking. Now, this is an obvious.
Give me her name. What's her name?
Her name is. I just had it.
You said it a minute ago.
Damn it! I'll look it up.
Okay.
The War Room will find that for me. They heard what I said.
Yeah.
Chris Matthews. Now he's got to be on the payroll because there's no other reason he should be in the business whatsoever.
Mush mouth.
And he pretty much says, I only trust CIA.
Well, it's all over. Let me ask you, Eli, the government here. I have confidence in two forces, straight front page media. I think it's better than it's ever been in years. I think the tradecraft of the top metropolitan papers is unbelievable right now. The people we have on the program, from the Times and Journal especially, and in some cases the Wall Street Journal as well.
Sometimes.
And I also have faith in the civil service. I think people like Sally Yates save us every day of the week. I think those people do their jobs. They're not, some of them may be Democrats and liberals even, progressives, but they do their job and they uphold their service. I think Trump can't stand either one of those two groups because they confound him and they limit his power, and he hates that.
Yeah, so what he's saying is CIA is across party lines. They're everywhere. It's Julia Ioffe, I-O-F-F-E. Ioffe.
Wow, what a weird name.
Yeah,
Julie?
I think I got that. Julia. I think I got that right.
Julia.
Now, while you're looking that up,
by the way, tradecraft, which of course you don't hear that used.
No, that's spy. That's spy stuff.
Spycraft.
Yeah. Well, they say
it's the word.
Hillary would always say tradecraft.
For the newspapers.
For spying.
Oh.
Yeah, for spying, she would talk about tradecraft. The State Department.
It is a spying term.
Yeah, let me see if I have a clip.
But I've heard spycraft and tradecraft.
Well, how about this? Here's Newland. Newland will do.
Other than to say it was pretty impressive tradecraft, the audio was extremely...
There you go, tradecraft. Tradecraft is spying. So the White House sent out their shills. And, hey, wait, they got historians talking stuff. Send our guy. Doug Weed. Got my attention just looking at his name. Hey, I want to listen to that guy. And he does something. This is the talking points from the White House, which is a big mistake. Big mistake. This does not work. When you go and say, well, Obama did that, Obama Clinton did that. It doesn't work, but he did it.
Whining.
But he did it anyway, and this was one I'd forgotten. Yes, whining.
Yes, we've had worse than this with the Chinese under the Clintons, where millions of dollars were donated to the Clintons and Chinese officials in the Oval Office, and the money had to be refunded. Your viewers can Google it and read all about it.
Remember that?
Yeah, Google it.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, they had to give that money back. And the same thing happened with Obama, but they didn't catch him. It was all credit cards.
You don't think that this is an interference of a different kind, especially when it has to deal with cyber and about putting out propaganda through means through which you didn't once have to do,
like television, like you.
You can spread it faster and quicker, and in a larger extent than at any point in history, Doug Weed?
Well, technology has changed, maybe so, but the money that came into the Clintons that had to be refunded, that came both to the DNC and came to the president's legal trust fund, that had to be refunded. There were 66 criminal counts brought against the people who made the donations. That was a serious crisis, and some of the donors were from the People's Republic of China. They scattered when the FBI tried to prosecute them.
Wow, if I were Don Lemon, I'd be like, wow, that's kind of the same thing, only with actual traceable money. Wow.
Let's get this back on track. I want to bring Tony Blinken back into this. Tony, I don't know if you want to respond to any of that, but
wait. He says, I don't know if you listen to this. This is very funny.
Yeah, let's get back
on track. I want to bring Tony Blinken back into this. Tony, I don't know if you want to respond to any of that, but in my questioning, you can respond however you want. But please,
I don't know if you want, but you can do whatever you want. But that doesn't sound like a good idea to respond to that, Tony. I don't think you should do that because Control Room says they'll cut you off in a heartbeat. And we didn't stop there.
I see it totally differently. I mean, the Jim Comey firing, it's portrayed like the FBI are 12 men operating out of a garage, and so he's fired, and that ends the investigation. And what hasn't been said and what isn't discussed is his successor, Andrew McCabe, is a Democrat who investigated Hillary Clinton, found her innocent, and whose wife, Jill McCabe, received $700,000 when she ran for office in Virginia from the Clinton machine. 500,000 of it from Terry McAuliffe. No one talks about that. He's the acting director of the FBI.
What does that have to do with this investigation?
It has to do with the fact that all day long people have been saying he fired Comey, therefore he was trying to obstruct justice by keeping the investigation into the Russian collusion. Well, it didn't stop the investigation at all. It didn't even
with all
cause
due
a
respect,
road
I still don't understand what one has to do with the other.
I love that. What does that have to do with anything?
Respect, I don't have a clue what you're saying.
Well, you just mentioned your guest just before mentioned the firing of Comey as part of the obstruction of justice. Because just because you get rid of Comey, you don't get rid of the FBI.
That is not a very good sign. I just caught that. He said coma. The truth always wants to come out. I just got a report. 8 days ago, Roger Ailes fell at his Florida home and hit his head, and they put him into an induced coma. Just just a little aside there. The word coma is in the air.
Just before mentioned the firing of Comey as part of the obstruction of justice, because just because you get rid of Comey, you don't get rid of the FBI investigation. The current acting head of the FBI is a Democrat.
But I'm still trying to understand what that has to do with the current FBI guy being a Democrat and investigating Hillary Clinton. I don't see a clear line here.
Because the president does not improve his chances in the investigation by exchanging Comey for Andrew McCabe. There's no improvement for Donald Trump.
Andrew McCabe is the acting director, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So and he has to appoint another. He's going to appoint a permanent director.
Maybe, but they're considering McCabe too.
Does anyone on this panel want to respond to that?
Look, I've served with Andrew McCabe. He is a consummate professional. So it's always fun to try to tear down people in order to distract from what's really going on. But you're barking up the wrong tree if you're trying to tear down Andrew McCabe.
I'm
not trying to tear him down. Where was that?
In fact, he's a Democrat, so it's not improving the president's odds by getting rid of Comey.
No, what he is a professional, and that may not be improving the president's odds either.
Well, I guess
you're just making the guy's point for him. How can you watch this dreck?
Well, it's my job.
It's unbelievable how bad that.
I mean,
was.
I could go full-time day trading. 15 more seconds.
Well, that may not be
how does this guy even hold down? CNN is so rotten.
And the Woolsey, I didn't clip him, but Woolsey was on this program with Lemon. That's how crazy it is.
No, what he is a professional, and that may not be improving the president's odds either.
Well, I guess the point that maybe you're trying to make it's a little disjointed. But look, the FBI isn't about one person, and they're going to continue with this investigation.
Then what's the
question
reason to even
Donald
have
Trump
the panel?
in a position to choose a new FBI director?
Yeah, this is what happens. These guys are going to go home and they're going to vomit because their brains are scrambled. Wait a minute, I just made that guy's point for him. Oh, no.
And nobody noticed. That's what's the weird part.
Well, I think people notice, but then you get it. Well, do you want to respond to that? If you do, I mean, you got to make up your own mind how you want to respond. But I wouldn't recommend you would respond to that. That's not good. F you guys.
Somebody up there should just go.
Yeah. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John C. Or the C stands for Comey and De Beer Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, and all the dames and knights out there for sure.
Yes, in the morning to the War Room, doing their job. We got everybody participating. Thank you. It's very handy today. NoAgendaStream.com. And in the morning to all of our artists who contribute at NoAgendaArtGenerator.com, but specifically the Trix Rabbit of Thorium, who brought us the artwork for episode 929er, Sologamy. And he did the Constitution. Resist we much, we must, and we will much about that be committed, which is the first line of the Constitution. Very funny. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Always happy to give our artists their props. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Hey, nice newsletter. Right. I'm glad we got to see Theodore.
And they're trying to come up with nicknames for him, like Theo, Teddy.
They still haven't come up with one?
Jay's got one. T-Dog.
T-Dog? What is it? Is he a rapper? Is he a hip-hopper?
But she walks dogs and she thinks about dogs all the time.
Of course. It's a T-Dog.
T-Dog. And mine is Theodorable.
Oh, God. This poor kid, man. This poor kid. Hey, you had some great pictures in the newsletter.
Yeah.
I loved the one of Stevie Wonder promoting Atari video game, saying, if I could see, I'd be playing this game. Crazy. Yeah. I had never seen that before.
I never saw it. When I saw it, I said, oh, my God, this goes right in the newsletter. Perfect advertising.
Yeah, oh, my goodness. And you think that wasn't a Photoshop or a...
It was too... No, well, it's always possible. Anything's possible. But as I looked at it, didn't have the right earmarks to be Photoshop. I mean, there's things you look for. This looked like an ad, some dumb ad. It had the right picture of
Stevie.
Stevie at the time of Atari's upsurgence, or emergence, and he had the control. I mean, no, that's I would doubt. If whoever photoshopped that, if they did, I would want to become their protege. I mean, it's not. No, I don't think so.
Hey, why don't you call Theo Teddy K?
Teddy K. What's the K?
Kaczynski.
Teddy K. Oh. Okay.
Also Professor Theodore. Just call him Professor Theodore. Professor Ted. Come on. Hey, Professor Ted. You can call him all kinds of things.
So let's start with thanking a few people. We got 2 associate executive producers, 3 associate executive producers, and 2 executive producers, starting with Sir Anthony Seven.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. Snopes says it's fake.
Oh.
You've been snoped.
Snopes could be right. The possibility does exist because it's so stupid.
I loved it, though.
But
I loved it.
There's no doubt in my mind that somebody could have done that ad.
Yeah, apparently he was holding an audio device, not...
Oh, okay. Well, I have to look at it more carefully.
Yeah. You know what? It made me laugh, and it doesn't matter.
That's the way I see it.
It doesn't matter. If I laughed, then it was good. I always ask Tina one question. She says, I heard the show. I said, did you laugh? And she says, yeah. And I always say, about what? And she always says, I can't remember.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Sir Anthony Seven, Westfield, Indiana, came in with $785.65. He actually sent us a note last week hoping the check would come in. It was one of those bank checks that comes in through the System Pay Electronic or whatever it is. And he did send an email, which I looked up really quickly, and I'll read. Good sir, it's been too long since my last tribute. I beg forgiveness for this douchebaggery. I've been contempting the completion of my barony for some time. Then I received, by the way, the ad with the doctor and the Chesterfields or whatever, so Lucky Strikes was just as funny as the fake ad.
Yeah, I remember those. My mom smoked when I was a kid.
What I liked about that ad is that it had an actual number, which reminded me of the global warming thing, where they're using numbers.
The number of doctors.
Yeah.
Excellent. 9 out of 10.
I made contemplating the completion of my barony for some time. Then I received the May 6th newsletter. Wonderful news, John C. Best wishes to you and your family. In response, I immediately logged on my bank's webpage and sent the remainder. Oh. I hope you will consider this small token of a show of support and an oath of fealty. And further hope that you will grant me Hamilton County, Indiana, as my barony, north side of Indianapolis, Indiana. I humbly request that take Indianapolis while you're at it. Humbly request the title of Anthony Seven, Baron of Hamilton.
Okay.
The tradition is to request clips, and I oblige by asking for a montage of the Reverend Manning, whatever Adam chooses. In other words, what you can find the easiest. And you can give some karma.
Okay, and some karma. All right. I'm just grabbing a few because there's so many of them. Maybe I should grab a little older one there. And I'll grab that one. He wants a montage, and he did come in with an executive producership, so we should probably rack it up with... okay. See, this is when I don't have anything in front of me, I can't work ahead.
Yeah, we realize that, and nobody's condemning you.
Okay.
Until I see you pull a baby out your ass, you ain't gonna pull this church out from underneath us. And boom shakalaka goes right there, and all you fags can go to hell. The long leg Mac Daddy. But you need to stop shucking and jiving.
oh, damn it.
You've got karma.
The karma failed, but I rekindled it.
Yeah, well, it was good. And onward to Ewan.
No. BJ Slack is next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. BJ Slack in Glendale, Arizona is 33333. BJ, it's got it spelled SLAGHT, and he says pronounce Slack.
BJ Slack.
Slack. It sounds like a good name for a DJ.
And his initials his initials are BJ's. Hey, let's go over to BJ's. Okay.
Love the show, guys. Keep it up. Give my beautiful fiance, Mel G, and me some getting married karma and some moving karma. And how about that clip of the seed guy talking about corn?
For 20 years, they've been growing open-air HIV corn in Texas, Protogen. You know about pharmacological corn?
Karma.
That's our boy. That's our boy.
I never heard that one.
Yeah. Well,
apparently. Corn?
Yeah, they've been growing HIV in corn. Yeah. Don't eat the corn. Just
Jason,
to be on the safe side.
Well, don't have sex with a corn cob.
There you go.
Jason Werner, $250.
No, now you got to do Ewan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez.
Yeah, really.
Okay, here's the reason you in the background while you try to prepare.
Yeah, you're knitting,
I've been
you're
trying
crocheting.
to find if he has an email, but there's no email from Ewan Robertson, and he's no location here. He's in the United States someplace. He gave us $274.88, and I can't find a note. So if you have a note, it at least is not with any email that uses the words Ewan or Robertson. And so I'm just kind of
okay. I'm firing up the email. Why don't you continue, and I'll look for Ewan's email.
Okay. Now we have Jason Werner, who also has an email.
Yes, I found it.
Oh, you found Ewan's?
Yes.
Well, he sent it to you.
Yeah. Well, and I forwarded it to Eric, but that's how it goes. Thank you both for a great show on Thursday. This donation makes me a knight. Oh, I'm glad we looked it up. Oh, hold on. Now I got to do some accounting. I really dislike it when this happens.
Yeah, we understand
especially because I did forward this. Ewan Robertson. Okay, he says, my brother already took Sir Haggis. I will just be Sir Ewan of the ramen noodles, the ramen noodles.
What?
He wants to be Sir Ewan. Well, I don't know how to pronounce it. He didn't give me a pronunciation guide.
I think it's Ewan.
Sir Ewan of the ramen noodles.
Okay.
Jobs, jams.
You must like ramen noodles a lot.
Yeah, jobs, jams, and regular karma for everybody. Sure
jobs,
thing.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Onward. Jason Werner. Werner. $250. See email, and I have the email in front of me.
Thank you.
Click a button. ITM, gents, it's been, thank goodness. It's been a while. So here's my part. This is part of the show.
Yeah.
So here's my part of the value for value. Keep up the great work. John, yes, some of us do actually read the newsletter. I'd place myself somewhere between category 1 and 2. Yes, we had a category situation in there. And that's reasonable. Mm-hmm. And he's got a bunch of requests. Again, now you have to do it on the fly. Ready?
Yeah.
Obama, no. Don't eat me. Luckily, they're not obscure. Mm-hmm. Don't eat me, Hillary. Little girl, yay, and karma for all.
Okay. Don't eat me. And what was the other one?
Little girl, Obama, no. Don't eat me, little girl, yay.
No. Hey.
Don't eat me, Hillary Clinton. Yay!
You've got karma.
That girl's name who did those. I'd like to hear her voice now.
Hey. Like, hey, can you do little girl yay for us? Sure. Yay.
But she's not going to be a diesel.
I love the No Agenda Show.
What?
Don't you have a little setting on that little machine of yours that changes voices to a woman's voice?
Yeah, I'd have to mess with it.
Okay, do it some other time.
Yeah.
Tired of you wasting her. By the way, do I owe you an apology?
Oh, no. That was very odd. So, we had some technical issues on the pre-stream on Sunday, whenever it was, last month, advertising. And, it's always frustrating for both of us. But we got it fixed as best we could. And
at 9:30.
Yeah, and then, it took a while. And we still didn't really get it fixed, although it seems to be fixed today. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so the beginning was a little rough, and and I got huffy. I was still triggered by the technical stuff. And then we move on like we always do. And people are like, "Whoa, this ruined the whole experience for me." Like, really?
Well, they were criticizing me for being mean to you.
You know, you can see it that way.
I had one Baron on Twitter going on and on about this. I said, you should apologize. I said, I'll tell you what, if he asks for an apology, I'll give him one. I don't know what for. And I said, meanwhile, you're blocked. And I told him again that you could be unblocked if this turned around. No, this was bullcrap. This
I
guy
like that. Meanwhile, you are blocked, I tell you. I block you. I block you again. I keep blocking you. So this guy had already asked that on noagendasocial.com. And I said, no. I said, this is bullcrap. Who cares?
What was he hearing?
I don't. You know what you're hearing is real people who have been together for 10 years are quite honestly pretty tired of each other. Fed up. Unhinged and fed up.
We're fed up.
Yeah. So, and it's normal. That's what you want. I don't understand. It wasn't exactly the way it's supposed to be. It was,
I hated that it's a Baron because you don't get to baronies without being very familiar with the show.
Yeah. I know, but
unless you heard unless you're the Baron, the Dream Baron, where you hear two shows and say, "Here's $3,000." You know, this just doesn't happen.
I do like that we have no problem pushing back on a high level donor when we just feel it's righteous. I mean, it's crazy. No, it doesn't. We get pissed at each other all the time. And sometimes
the Baron should apologize to us.
Yes, sometimes right after the show. It doesn't happen often. Sometimes
I'll unblock him after I receive an apology. Okay. Although I won't be able to receive it on Twitter, obviously. Sir Shyster, Destroyer of Coons, is our last associate executive producer from Terryville, Connecticut. $209.30. I am donating $209.30 to become an associate executive producer for show 930. I would like to take a minute to credit John for his excellent deconstruction of my style. Destroyer of Cones. From my knighting ceremony last year. Not quite 100%, but definitely in the ballpark. I don't know what he's referring to. To me, a destroyer of cones is a guy who drives down the street and he sees a bunch of cones, you know, that tell you not to go into that lane, and he carefully knocks them over one after another.
Yes.
I have done that myself.
Yeah, you can clip them with your car. It's fun.
Yeah, you clip them and boom, over they go.
And if you do it right, it's like a 110 split.
Yeah, if you do it right, you can do boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you can get them all. Yeah, we need videos of that, people.
Yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity. It's probably illegal. Everything is. I'd like to take this opportunity to formally call out Jenna as a douchebag.
And thanks again, Eric, for not marking this as a call out. It came in 15 minutes early. It's slacking on the job.
Reason, no, I disagree with you on this one. There's no reason to mark in red.
He does. He always does. He always does.
Well, not when it's in the donation. Yes. You have to read it.
Yes, he does.
Well, I'm glad he didn't because it's harder to read it when it's in red like that, especially if it's a big giant.
We can have him change the colors.
All right, well, whatever. She's been let's go back up.
All right.
She's been a boner for long enough. Lastly, I'd like to request a pro solo karma for all of GFAB, including Baronet Don Cool and myself. Thank you for the best podcast in the universe, Sir Shyster.
Destroyer of Cones. And did he want just a pro solo karma? Okay, there we go.
You've got karma.
There we go. All right.
That's it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are up there in the numbers. It wasn't a great killer. The newsletter was not that effective, but it made the point, I think.
Yeah. It always makes the point. I like the point of the newsletter. Well, thank you to our executive producers and associate executive producers. We'll be thanking more people later on, $50 and above. And of course, this is your podcast. This is your show. And you produce it in many different ways. We got lawyers sending in opinions, and we have producers who actually produce the way they do in Hollywood. That's why you get the credits up front. Executive producers, associate executive producers, thank you. And remember, we do have another show coming up on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
In the meantime, while you're figuring out how this all compares to Watergate, try propagating formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
since we're on these topics, and we're obviously not going to do too much discussion of Seth Rich right away, but I do want to get RT's take on this.
Oh, okay.
So
do we want to play the actual report that this all came from?
We're talking about the laptop story?
Yeah, from Rod Wheeler. This is the guy who discovered this. This former police detective.
You're talking about that's Seth Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you? I misunderstood.
I'm still on the other stuff. I want to get it out of the way.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But this one here, this is RT. I got a whole clip of the whole intro, and I said, I can just, because RT's going on about ridiculing everybody as being douchebags or reporting things the way they are. But this little clip, this one here, this is the RT Russia and the laptop story fine-tuned kicker. Is actually the nut. And I think it's got a little item in here that is very interesting.
The New York Times and NBC both have been running the story that it's actually Israel which provided the intelligence to Donald Trump, which he allegedly and reportedly told to Foreign Minister Lavrov at their meeting last week. But ironically, one of the top reporters of MSNBC, Richard Engel, tweeted out that, in fact, one of the U.S. intelligence officials had told him that the only thing that Trump said to Lavrov was the information about laptops which the terrorists have designed, and they could carry it on board and explode the aircraft out of the air. So that's, it creates a lot of confusion as to what the truth is behind all this story.
All right. Did I just hear Richard Engel, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, is an advisor to Hillary Clinton?
No, he didn't. No, I don't think so.
What did he say?
Well, play it again. Now let's just bring that in.
That's what I heard.
The New York Times and NBC both have been running the story that it's actually Israel which provided the intelligence to Donald Trump, which he allegedly and reportedly told to Foreign Minister Lavrov at their meeting last week. But ironically, one of the top reporters of MSNBC, Richard Engel, tweeted out that...
I'm sorry. I totally misheard that. I'm glad we checked it.
In fact, one of the U.S. intelligence officials had told him that the only thing that Trump said to Lavrov was the information about laptops which the terrorists have designed, and they could carry it on board and explode the aircraft out of the air. So that's, it creates a lot of confusion as to what the truth is behind all this story.
I'm glad you got this. You break it down, and I got something for you on this.
There's a couple things in here. One, Israel was mentioned by Trump. There's the only people that reported that. Everybody else said Trump didn't know it came from Israel, and the New York Times is the one that blew that into the public domain. And Trump is an idiot because he should have known something about the source. Trump's an idiot, doesn't know about the source, and so there's all that. And then Engel, who is we've always categorized as a CIA asset.
Spook.
Yeah, he's a huge asset.
Which is why he's mentioned by name as the top journalist. I'm sure that's what RT is trying to communicate here.
Maybe that's a good point. I didn't catch that, but that's a possibility. But Engel is now in the mix, but he's on the pullback side because, as we said earlier in the show, maybe they're overdoing it, and they need to pull. The CIA, we're assuming, are behind this slamming of the president, the endless slamming of the president, butt slamming of the president.
Butt slam.
They're. Maybe this is a moment where, hey, we got to pull it back because the public is not, they're getting very upset by this. Now we have that idiot from American University who says, you got to quit tomorrow.
Hurry up. Well, there's something else going on here. The key point, which really is not being discussed very at all, laptops, and if you really listen to that report, that could blow up airplanes, and I think what they're insinuating here is remotely. So and this all goes back to 9/11, and this, of course, is from. And I'd said of course, but it is of course from conspiracy circles. And what does Israel have to do with that? Now, there's plenty of people who believe that Israel was behind the 9/11 attacks, and they pin that on Unit 8200. And Unit 8200 is the Israeli Intelligence Corps unit for their signals intelligence. And they have been working on stuff like this. And there's plenty of reporting. It doesn't mean it's true, but there's plenty of reporting about that. And the message that Trump may have been giving may have been a little different. Let me just hear that report again. What was it called? laptop story. Just listen to how it's reported.
The New York Times and NBC both have been running the story that it's actually Israel which provided the intelligence to Donald Trump, which he allegedly and reportedly told to Foreign Minister Lavrov at their meeting last week. But ironically, one of the top reporters of MSNBC, Richard Engel, tweeted out that, in fact, one of the U.S. intelligence officials had told him that the only thing that Trump said to Lavrov was the information about laptops, which the terrorists have designed, and they could carry it on board and explode the aircraft out of the air. So that's, it's...
Okay. Maybe I'm just hearing that because that's what I've been looking at.
Okay, well, I do have one.
But we had that. Was it the Russian airliner that was blown out of the sky in Egypt?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about that. Unit 8200, keep it on the radar. You never know.
I'll put something down. But here's the clip. This is from CBS, and this is about this is all, I don't know what they're trying to do here. I think somebody's going to get killed. But this is the ISIS bomb-making story that was played on CBS.
Well, the classified intelligence that the president divulged to the Russian diplomats involved ISIS plans to bring down jetliners by hiding bombs in laptop computers. Charlie D'Agata is learning more.
Amid the bombed-out ruins of Mosul University, U.S. officials say they've uncovered evidence that ISIS was developing a new type of bomb that could pass through an airport scanner undetected. We joined Iraqi special forces here just days after the hard-fought battle to recapture the university in January. It's long been believed that Mosul University was the center of the militants' bomb-making projects, using the school's equipment and labs. U.S. officials now believe that research includes a new generation of more powerful explosives that could be concealed in a computer. When ISIS overran Mosul in 2014, they also captured the city's international airport, and with it, all the modern security scanner and screening equipment necessary to test their new bombs. Nice. On our trip, there were certain no-go areas. Iraqi forces kept us well away from entering the most sensitive buildings, warning that ISIS had booby-trapped them.
Wow, John, you know what that means? Bonanza time. New scanners needed because they foiled us. They got the schematics. They got the blueprints. We need new scanners. We need new. Just everyone get naked. Two birds with one stone. We've always wanted that. What else could it be? We need new scanning technology. This is interesting as it folds into the laptop ban on flights from Europe. We can sell this crap all over the world. If you want to fly to the United States of America with you got to have the right equipments. And I'm pretty sure we'll have the right equipments for our airlines.
Oh, yeah, we'll always have the right equipment. So, and it's not going to be cheap.
I'm sorry, materiel.
Not going to be cheap. So who's the company that's going to supply this? Is it going to be Chertoff's operation?
L3, which is Chertoff. This Chertoff and Associates, and they buy from L3, I believe.
We have to find out, get to the bottom of who's going to make these new scanners, because that means that all the airports in the country and the world, around the world are going to have to buy these scanners because the old scanners have been compromised.
Yeah.
Which sounds like something they could have done anyway. In a number of ways, just rob an airport and steal the scanner. And it's the big scanner. This will have to be the baggage scanner because it's going to be in a laptop, and the laptop's going to go through the scanner, and you're going to have to be able to spot this going through. And I don't know what kind of
it's a new piece of gear.
And yes, it's going to have to be a new piece of gear, and of course, and probably two pieces because there's that little rubbing thing they always rub with a little pad, and they stick it in the device. Beep, beep, beep. And
that's the sniffer.
That's got to go too. I'm sure it means two pieces of equipment. They're going to cost a lot of money.
I've always felt that looked pretty outdated with those little white pads and let me just swab you.
Yeah, it seems like I talked to one of the operators of that thing about it.
Officer, you mean officer?
He was an operator, and so he said, "Well, there's different." He says the problem is, somebody with pesticides, sometimes pesticides will set them off, and the different things you can get on your fingers.
In the midst of all of this, just to review the historical context of the Washington Post, which is where Woodward and Bernstein came from. Washington Post is the one who, is the outfit that is breaking these stories, although with an assist from New York Times, who obviously couldn't stay behind. I did not know that in February of this year, do you know who joined the Washington Post?
Who?
John Podesta.
Oh. To do what? He's a columnist?
Columnist, opinion section, contributing columnist. I'd say that's pretty handy.
Yeah.
I'd say that's...
Well, they have some people that are on the staff, and they're all covering Trump, that are not only CIA assets, but one of them in particular, I don't have his name in front of me, but he does a lot of the writing. He's a bald guy, very evil-looking person in terms of it, or sinister, I'd say, not evil, but sinister. And he was the guy who broke a bunch of CIA-related stories in Afghanistan to the point where Karzai kicked him out of the country, called him a spy.
Yeah.
And then mysteriously he was readmitted some reason.
Yeah.
You have to go back in.
It happens.
But he's writing these pieces on Trump now, and it's like, it's a little sketchy. I don't think everybody there is a spy. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
But there's enough of them.
It truly is rife. I mean, it's rife. It's just rife.
And I will remind people, these guys are nuts. I'll remind people, a friend of mine, Gina Smith, who's of the age of these writers, she was approached by the CIA as she graduated from college, and this is how it works, as a job. But it wasn't like a regular job. It was like, you're going to be on our payroll. We're going to give you a stipend, and you'll go get a regular job at an AP or wherever you're going to work. And then once in a while, we're going to call you because we're going to need a little help on pushing a story in a direction that it would benefit the country. Yeah. And she refused to take the job. But I think
so she says, I would say the same thing. In the meantime, be like, hell yeah. Bring it. Bring me the money. Show me the Benjamins.
I don't think that she would be telling this story in the first place.
You don't know how counter intel works.
Well, that's true.
But it's called Operation Mockingbird. That was the original code name for it.
But they say that Operation Mockingbird was killed.
No.
They said, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, okay. Anderson Cooper admitted he worked at the CIA. It's not a secret.
No.
Yeah,
there's too many of them. That's
my Uncle Don is 93, 94. You can't tell me that just because he's retired that he's not an agency guy. He's so much an agency guy that he switched from Republican to Democrat to vote for Obama because Obama read the script.
Yeah, and he was a Hillary supporter too.
No, he was not. Oh, in this last race. Yeah, in this last race, totally.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. We do have a new.
No, Hillary's a script reader.
Yes. We have a new voice on the scene from Houston, Texas. The Representative Al Green. I always get excited when I hear that.
I love Al Green.
Al Green's going to be on the show tonight. Oh yeah, perfect. It's not the.
Yeah. You got the impeachment clip. That's
Mr. Speaker. I rise today with a heavy heart. I rise today with a sense of responsibility and duty to the people who have elected me, a sense of duty to this country, a sense of duty to the Constitution of the United States of America. I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America.
Allahu Akbar.
For obstruction of justice. I do not do this for political purposes, Mr. Speaker.
No.
So it seems like the Black Caucus is out. We have Maxine Waters, we have Al Gore, and
Al Green.
Al Green. Al Gore. The blackest man on the planet, Al Gore is. Al Green, and on the Joy Reid show, Mr. Cummings. Yay.
This is what he said when we asked him if it was likely, in his view, that the Oval Office still has a taping system operative. Take a look.
Taping system.
What happened at that dinner in January?
This is the clip I was looking for earlier about the taping system. Now they're talking about a taping system. Okay. And if you watch the movie Dick, which you should, and there's plenty of Dick jokes in the movie, They show the taping system and also how the 19.4 minutes got erased.
What happened at that dinner in January that Trump now says he taped or hinted he taped? I don't believe that, but if he did, I think it was something he did on his smartphone.
Smartphone.
And I think Comey would like that tape out.
Congressman Cummings, if Donald Trump taped a conversation with the former FBI director using his smartphone, in theory, could the Congress, could the House Judiciary Committee or the Senate Intelligence Committee or either of the intelligence committees subpoena the president's phone?
Yes, it becomes a part of the presidential records. And so, yeah, and we're going to do everything in our power if there is a tape, to get that tape. This whole situation with regard to this conversation is very significant with regard to the investigation, with regard to Russia, to collusion and things of that nature. So we need to know, and we need to know who's telling the truth and who's lying. But
I cannot stand people pronouncing TH as F. I've just got to call people out about that. Truth. It's truth. Truth. It really irritates me. And in Britain, they do it all the time. Keef. It's pronounce the TH.
It's very significant with regard to the investigation, with regard to Russia, to collusion and things of that nature. So we need to know, and we need to know who's telling the truth and who's lying. But I think there are two things happening. One, many of them are afraid that Trump will run somebody from their right against them and they'll lose their seats. The others think that this thing will just blow over. But I've told them over and over again that this is a fight for the soul of our democracy. And so I even told Jason Chaffetz, I said, Chaffetz, the question is going to become, when all of this is over, what kind of country are we going to have? Well, and that's a good question.
It sure is, Mr. Cummings. That's the truth. It's the truth right there, boy. I tell you, the truth. God, I despise that.
Yeah, you do. I think you've made that point. Now, just as an aside, this Julia Ioffe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Laufey. It's not Ioffe. My mistake. But you found Ioffe?
I did. And everything in here says Ioffe.
Oh, maybe. Well, the war room misinformed me then. I was right. Ioffe. I was right.
Oh, maybe it's not Ioffe. It's Laufey.
Laufey. Okay. Yeah. That's her. How old is she?
Okay.
13?
I don't
1982. Born in Moscow, Russia. Hero.
She is on the fast track. I'm telling you, because
I told you this. I see it.
No, you're right. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
She has a lot of looks.
Uh-huh.
You know, she has a goofy look. She's got a big smile look. She's got the, I'm cute look.
Yeah.
She's got the, I'm a goofball look. She's got everything you want. And if she's sharp, she's on the fast track, and I think you nailed it. Good catch. I'd never heard of her.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, she had a Fulbright scholarship. Hello. Well, that's a telltale.
Yeah.
She's critical of Putin, obviously. She says RT is a Kremlin mouthpiece.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Bingo.
Let me see what else.
Got a checklist for this woman.
She's fantastic. Let's see what else we have here. She published a profile of Melania Trump for GQ magazine in 2016. It revealed that Trump had a half-brother. Oh, I didn't know that. Let's see. What else? Where did she go to school? Did she... Okay, she's the Jewish descent, born... settled in Columbia, Maryland. Hello. Attended Princeton University. Earned a degree, undergraduate degree with a major in history, specializing in Soviet history. Columbia Journalism School, the Knight Foundation, Fulbright Scholarship. Senior editor for the New Republic. Oh yeah, she's dynamite. Let's look at her personal life. Oh, there's no section for personal life.
She had a dispute with Lawrence O'Donnell in 2013. She appeared on MSNBC's The Last Word with O'Donnell and suggested that Putin had only limited control over the situation surrounding Edwin Snowden's asylum. That doesn't work for O'Donnell because O'Donnell is a Russian spy.
No.
And then he says O'Donnell responded, "We're getting absurd now."
Oh, she's the one that got fired from Politico. Because she tweeted out in the wake of reports that Ivanka Trump would be moving into the White House, historically occupied by the First Lady, Loaf tweeted, quote, either Trump is fucking his daughter or he's shirking nepotism laws. Which is worse? Dang.
Yes,
that's
that
her?
That would get you fired.
That's her? I wouldn't even say that. And I say a lot. I don't think I would say that. That's creepy.
It's totally creepy. Loft deleted the tweet and apologized.
Yeah.
The Atlantic responded to these. You know what? This is an example of somebody that's isolated from the social media's beginnings.
Yeah.
Not realizing, I think a lot of people get on social media for the first time, or they finally release to go out to do their own thing, and they don't really have a lot of experience.
It's like journalists on a podcast. They also talk their mouth off.
Yeah, they make mistakes. And so she goes on social media and thinks she's being hilarious. I got a great idea. She probably had one, too. Probably had a couple. And, CIA lets you drink, if I'm not mistaken. So she has a couple of shots, and she probably drinks scotch. She looks like a Scotch girl. Girl. So she's got a couple of scotches in her, and she says, I got a great idea for a really funny tweet. Everyone will think this is hilarious. And so she tweets this stupid thing out, which is, it is funny from somebody's perspective, especially if you're plastered. And then, boom, all hell breaks loose. She gets you'd call that in her career, because she was on a track.
A
setback.
A setback.
A setback.
For her, it was just a minor setback. Boom, she's at the New Republic the next week.
Well, she's back on track. Let's put it that way. But she learned her lesson. She's not going to do social media much.
Yeah, we got to keep our eye on her, because you know that if she messes it up, then you know where they wind up. These women, they wind up on The View, like Sunny Hostin.
When I heard about it, I said there is a memo. There were people questioning whether or not the memo existed, and I started thinking about my time as a prosecutor. First day one during training, they said, if it happened and you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
Oh.
Right. And I thought, if they're telling me that, and he was a former prosecutor and the head of the FBI, he wrote it down.
This is true. This is true.
I think so.
This is true.
I agree.
Uncle Don, every conversation I've had with him, he was writing stuff down. He says, I'm sorry, I can't kick the habit. It's agency stuff.
Yeah,
and we're just talking about
a book on you.
Well, hello. Part 2 of Sunny.
The Comey memo exists. But if it is true, what he says in it, which is that he asked the FBI director to stop a federal criminal investigation into Michael Flynn.
No, he didn't do that, but it's not funny otherwise.
If it is true, what he says in it, which is that he asked the FBI director to stop a federal criminal investigation into Michael Flynn, that is pure and simple a federal crime. That is obstruction of justice. And that is an impeachable
event.
Do they ever mention that Comey is required by law to report it immediately?
No.
Oh, gee, it's funny how they keep leaving stuff out of this bullcrap conversation.
I know, but it's so fun because it's truth.
When I was in the air pollution inspector, there used to be a guy. I had Chevron Oil as one of my responsibilities, and so I'd go in all the time. And then there's this one guy. I just loved the way he did this, because he was a note taker too. Every time you came in, he'd write down what you asked and what he said, and he just had everything down. And then at the very end, we say, I'm going to go. And you shake his hand and you get up to go. Before he got up, he would reach over and he'd had this rubber date stamp time, and he'd stamp right in front of me. He'd stamp this document, and then he would, because it was over, he stamped it. It had a time stamp, and so then I left. I always got a biggest kick. I said, I should develop that habit, because there's so many times I've had a conversation or something with somebody, I can't even remember who they were.
I think you've told this story before, and we've talked about this. It's like, or it's just deja vu.
Probably told the story before, because it really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because I've always regretted the fact that I've never developed some of these cool habits.
Yeah, we did talk about this, and I got yellow legal pads, little mini ones. I have stacks of them, and for the show I write it down and then I rip it off, and I'm writing down stuff the whole time. Like shopping list, get some milk, and others while you're talking away. To wrap up the CIA thing, because you thought it was worth replaying, I want to bring back the CNN panel that had Philip Mudd, the ex-CIA guy, on it. about the Banana Republic. Yeah.
Believe me, I know this is going to sound facetious. I'm breathing a sigh of relief. You can't take this seriously. You could have taken this seriously from President Bush, from President Obama, from President Bush's father, from President Clinton. You can't take this seriously. You feel like you got to give the President of the United States a pacifier in a rattle and put him in the crib. You're threatening the FBI, who's in the midst of an investigation of presidential aides. The FBI's been around since 1908. The President of the United States has been around for 3.5 months. If you think you're going to intimidate the former FBI director and the dozens of people in the workforce who are conducting this investigation with the Department of Justice, you got another thing coming. Nobody believes the President of the United States from the day he came in and misrepresented how many people showed up at the stupid inauguration to the claims he made at the beginning about where the President of the United States, his predecessor, was born. Nobody believes this guy anymore, which is why I look at the threat and the tweet and can't take it seriously. The man doesn't have any credibility.
I have immense respect for you. We talk all the time. You can't call the inauguration stupid, but
the claims of how many people showed up. That was ridiculous.
First of all, we look a little bit like a 20th century banana republic at the moment to the world. This is outrageous.
Outrageous.
The second thing, this isn't.
I was very upset with this clip, and I didn't express how upset I was the first time you played it, which was the incredible, and it harkens back to, do you want Obama to be a successful president?
Yeah.
This harkens back to that. But this was this is a CIA guy. I think his build is such.
Yeah.
The amount of disrespect for the presidency with his baby, the pacifier, stupid inauguration, and all the rest of it, and just the base hatred that coming out of this guy. This guy should be taken off the air. He should be fired from the agency. But no, this is what they're pushing out there. I think this was a repugnant presentation by this character.
Good word. Good use of the word.
Because it was repugnant.
And just to pile
this was on CNN, I assume.
Yeah, just to pile on. And he was also the one on Bill Maher's show. He's being sent out. To pile on top of it, when I had, it didn't happen for a number of reasons. We were going to go to D.C., and there was this thing, and Flynn was going to be there, a whole bunch of spooks. And the request came, hey, see if Uncle Don wants to come along. And I sent him a note, and he's like, I don't want anything to do with Michael Flynn or anybody around him. And this is way before the firing.
Yeah.
So it's all this Russia hate. It's Russia hate. And control. Just control. Not reading the script, not following the script. Because everyone knows that's how you do it. That's what you're supposed to do as president. You're not following the script. And they're bent out of shape. Let's do a different topic just for a moment. We have a small correction to make about fen-phen.
Yes.
You incorrectly stated that this was the combo drug that is now killing people everywhere.
No, I said it was fentanyl. Is what I said.
Yeah, but
I didn't say it was a combo drug.
No, you said on the show everyone was talking about fen-phen, and fen-phen, that was a dietary drug. That was not fentanyl.
Yeah, we had a guy. Where's the note? Do you have it?
No, doesn't matter. We don't need to dwell on it.
Well, there's details in there, and I'm a detail guy.
Well, then get the note. You said it.
I know. I'm also looking for the damned
it's
note.
Fenfluramine and phentermine.
That's the combination.
And dexfenfluramine. Yeah, but that's not the synthetic stuff. That's not the
synthetic opioids. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
there was that.
Anyway, the stuff, this new stuff, let's just call it the new fen-phen. Fen-phen, like new Coke, new fen-phen.
Well, it's not fen-phen.
But I'm calling it fen-phen now.
Well,
I've changed it. That even just breathing it or getting it on your skin is a problem.
Friday night around 8:50 p.m., East Liverpool patrolman Chris Green responded to a traffic stop.
We think they were trying to flee, but they were blocked in. And once they got blocked in, they started trying to dispose of the evidence in the vehicle. There's white powder on the seat, on the floor, on the guy's shoes, on his clothing.
Green followed station protocol for handling drugs by putting on gloves and a mask when he searched the car. But when he got back to the station, another officer noticed Green had some of the white powder on his shirt.
Just out of instinct, he tried to brush it off, not thinking.
Police think that powder was fentanyl. Green overdosed at the station an hour later.
They called an ambulance for him,
Ambulance responded. They gave him 1 dose of Narcan here, then transported him to East Liverpool City Hospital, where they gave him 3 additional doses of Narcan.
The drug can get into the body just through contact with the skin. Captain Wright says Green is fine today, but it's a scary example of how the drug epidemic has forced police officers to change how they do their jobs.
We changed our procedures to where we used to field test drugs. We don't do that no longer because of accidental exposures. The laws for this type of drug need to be changed, because if you really think about this, these drugs could be used as a weapon of mass destruction. All you have to do is walk into any room, flip it in the air, and people are going to start dropping out.
And that's really the reason I wanted to play this, is for that last little quote. This really is a weapon of mass destruction. Just walk into a room, throw it in the air, put it in your chemtrails. Man, what a way to go, though. Woo!
I like the way you add that little tidbit. Put it in your chemtrails.
Come on, man.
Chemtrails.
Yeah, I'll get everybody high.
Here's the note. Fen-Phen was Pondamin and Phentermin. Phenitol, which is phenitol, the bad stuff that the guy died from, is a synthetic opioid used to cut heroin. Totally different drugs. Trust me, I'm intimately familiar with how heroin is made, cut, and sold in California. Name withheld.
We have the best producers in the universe. Love you guys. Thank you for your courage.
Jeez.
No clip, but Kony 2012, we all remember. The video?
It should be now Comey 2012.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was interesting that it came out this week. Kony 2012 was really a video about going to get this warlord who was using children as soldiers. And, the video went super viral. It had millions of views within 10 seconds. It was very suspicious, really, how fast that went.
Very suspicious.
I recall us questioning that.
Was an exercise in manipulating the Google numbers or the YouTube
Well,
numbers.
there's a couple things. And what happened after that is the attention was so huge. Like, everyone was talking about Kony 2012, Kony 2012. But then this guy tripped out on Fen-Phen. Whatever it was, PCP, or it was crystal meth, and he was running around naked, pounding the sidewalk and jumping over cars and pretending to hump the windshield. It was great.
Well, I think it was that. I think if we remember right, it was that stuff that was going around for a while. That had some funny name. You could buy it. It was bath salts.
Oh yeah. Yes, bath salts.
It was bath salts.
Well, they announced in the New York Times when this came out on Monday that the mission to capture or kill Kony has failed. They're giving up. They're going to stop trying to find Kony. Yeah. And I think, for yucks, I went to look at their 990. They've been around for a couple of years. The expense of the Kony 2012 mission, $50 million, $50 million in the years up until this announcement.
This is the operation that was behind. Was the Kony 2012 operation?
Yes,
what was their name?
Okay, I'll tell you. Invisible Children.
So they got $50 million.
Yes, and if you recall, the guy who freaked out, now it's coming back to me. He was a video producer, and he made that fantastic video with the millions of dollars that he had for the Kony 2012, the Invisible Children Foundation. And then the money just started pouring in. But he was a video guy. I remember this now. But and
what did that? So how did that money, that $50 million, how was that you? I mean, our government supposedly had something to do with trying to track him down, and so did I guess the UN or whoever. Mm-hmm. But how did that $50 million get used? We didn't hire
producing
a mercenary army.
Producing videos, road trips, meetings.
Road trip.
Meetings.
Woo! Bath salts. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, thank you.
He squandered it.
Yeah.
Well, good work. Another example of how the charitable Americans and bad operations kind of hook up together. I mean, there are plenty of great charities and great organizations and people to donate to, would say, maybe including us, that are honest, and there's plenty that aren't.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Golly, it's like it was planned.
You didn't have to spike the football.
You got me.
I did.
You're right. I spiked the football. And I don't spike the football usually.
Good going.
Good yeah, well, good catch. Of course. Gary Alexander, Dubai, Arab Emirates. Thank you for your courage. This is nice. $111.11 from the Arab Emirates. Thank you for your courage. Which is a great place to visit, by the way, Dubai in particular. Thank you for your courage. Can I get a karma and a de-douching?
Oh, we're going to do that for everybody now?
No, just this guy. He's
You've been de-douched.
We get so few.
You've got karma.
And I've seen his name. Doing something.
That's fine. I just asked.
Name Karen is Cimarron Hills, Colorado Springs, Colorado, $101.01. And she's shaking her head at the ludicrous mainstream media. Thanks for being the voices of reason.
We try.
Thank you. We try. We try to be the voices of reason. Brian, except for the chemtrails things.
We haven't even gotten to the second half of the show.
Brian Mickey, $100.33, parts unknown. Richard Hufford, a boob. He says, we're happy to support the most enlightening podcast in the universe. Different little moniker.
Mepintu. Most enlightening podcast in the universe. Mepintu.
Sir Scott Morgan in Austin, Texas, your buddy, 8008. James Walker, $80 from Shawnigan Lake in British BC. A lot of people in BC like the show. Dan White.
Sir Scott is from the Armory. He's the Knight of the Armory.
He says, Sir Scott says, or Sir Scott. Oh, Sir Scott's from the Army, right?
Yeah, James. Yeah.
James Walker says it's Canadian money.
Yes.
Dan, he says it's Canadian. $112.32 comes to 80.
Jeez, sorry.
Dan White Chick in Fort Myers, Florida, 77.70. Richard Riley in Loomis, California, 77.70. Sir Rick, our buddy in Arlington, Washington, 69.69. Richard Spinoza, 69.69. Joseph Spinoza. Sir Paul Mountain Mentat of the Monongahela.
Yes, and he has a birthday.
Upper Track, West Virginia, $69. Now, we should live 1 year. I do read at a $70. He says, I do read on a 70-year-old level.
Good. Very good.
Okay, that's for his birthday. I guess you have to. Bradley Carrier, 6060. Walker Ostler in Jerome, Idaho, 5964. Eric Schultz.
This is nice. This is nice. I've been tuning into your show for about 3 months. It's exactly what I've been looking for after getting my senses raped by the MSM. No bullshit media news analyst with a generous side of bonhomie. Value for value, your product is genuinely the best podcast in the universe. Thank you. Now, if only my wife felt the same way. Eric Schultz, soon to be single, ladies.
Yes,
he's coming on the scene. One of my friends, producer of the show, so go unnamed, he said, "Oh man, what am I going to do? I have to explain to my wife that the Dems are crazy." That's what he said verbatim. And I said 2 words: Maxine Waters. And he said, she replied, she's a very, very intelligent woman.
What?
Yeah, we're doomed.
Maxine Waters is an idiot.
Wait, maybe I can read you exactly what the message was. That'd be funnier. If I didn't delete it, here it is. Oh, no, she says she is a well-respected black woman. Yes.
Oh, well, that's different.
Stay woke.
She is.
Yes.
She's a well-respected
black woman. That's true. Stay woke.
And that was 5510 from Eric. Stephen Whalen in Milford, Michigan. 5510. Double nickels on dime. Dean
way. Now this is in color. Oh, jeez.
Oh, and I didn't read it.
Best newsletter ever. Douchebag call out to Jeff Rice.
Douchebag.
He's been listening forever, never donates, and the premier member on O'Reilly's podcast, WTF. Yeah, really, that guy doesn't need money.
Really?
That guy doesn't need money.
That is bad.
Yeah.
A premier member. That means you have to pay some fee.
Yeah, in other words, you can't listen.
No, you can't listen.
And here you get to stay woke for free.
Which is, I think, it's not a model I like.
No, I don't like it either. And they take it from your credit card. You can't stop it. It's nuts.
The other thing is, and people have brought this up, what you guys should do is you should have your regular podcast and have some premium content.
Oh, yes, premium content. Here's some of the good stuff, not the bull crap we're giving you here. But I despise that as well. I'm surprised you don't do a freemium model. Freemium.
Yeah, freemium. That's actually the term coinage for the
freemium
model.
Yes.
And if you think about it, here's the real problem with it. First of all, the content washes back and forth, so you don't really get anything premium in the long haul.
No.
Because it ends up you have to reference that material eventually to make your points in the free side of the.
Oh, I have an idea. I just had a great idea.
Okay.
We take the donation segments and make that premium, so people can pay to hear the donation segment. Now we're talking business model. But we'll make it really interesting. It'll be we'll talk about every.
It is interesting. The donation segment is
very interesting. Yes,
it's very unlike if like for example we had the advertising model which we talked about in the newsletter. We stop the show and then go on and on. I mean, Glenn Beck does this with a gold line, and he makes a big deal about it.
Yeah,
it's like how insincere can you be? Anyway, enough.
Bitcoin.
Dean Rocker, double nickels on the dime. And now the rest of the people are $50 donors.
Might be Roker.
Could be Roker. Roker. Now, these are the short list of $50 donors, name and location. Andrew Haverson in Gravenhurst, Ontario. It's Sheila Damodaran. That's what it is. It's an Armenian name. She's in parts unknown. Robert Drykosen, I think, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Yeah, Drykosen.
Sir Chris Slewinski in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Miles Comer in Walnut, California, not Walnut Creek. John Camp in Antlers, Oklahoma. Great name for a town. I always say it every time. Amitav Hajra in Daleville, Virginia. Austin Goldstein in parts unknown. Matthew Mungan, I think that's Sir Matthew in Baltimore, Maryland. Paul Rudkin, which I think is also Sir. Joel Daroon, $50. These are parts unknown. Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. We're up the street from you. Bill LeClaire, capital L, small a, Riverdale, Michigan. Israel Kazaris in the U.S. somewhere. And last but not least, Sir Jerry Wingenroth. In Saugus, California. Very famous town.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all very much. And I just gave away the Moron of the Day award to Logan 5 in the War Room for a number of reasons. He said, some people would actually pay not to have to listen to the donation segment. And I thought, that's really odd. When we invented this podcasting thing, we came up with this really weird idea. Fast forward. Look it up.
Yeah.
Google
so you have
Google
to be a moron not to fast forward.
Google it. Google what it does.
Google it. Google fast forward, see what you get.
Hey, thank you very much, producers who do care and do want to keep this show on the air. 10 years and counting. Very proud of that. It's highly appreciated. And everyone else who came in under the $50 amount, which is for reasons of anonymity, that's the primary reason, but also a lot of people on subscriptions. Thank you. And again, another show on Sunday. Your help is always needed.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Everybody can use some jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry, did you want to interrupt the flow for some reason?
You can't fast forward to a live feed.
33 yesterday. Happy birthday. Sarah Jones says happy birthday to her husband, William Jones, celebrates tomorrow. And Sir Paul Swazzlenoff, 69, on May 19th. Happy birthday from all your pals here at the best podcast in the universe. We got a title change. Sir Anthony VII becomes the Baron of Hamilton. We're very proud that that has worked out for him. Thank you. Congratulations. And we do have one knighting, which we wouldn't even have done if I hadn't been reading along. So grab my blade, your blade, sir.
Got it.
Perfect. Ewan Robertson, come on, step up to the podium. I'm so happy that we caught it because, man, it's nice that you have contributed to the best podcasting universe, the amount of $1,000 or more. That brings you into the realm of the Knights and the Dames here at the No Agenda Round Table. And I proudly pronounce the KD, Sir Ewan of the Ramen Noodles. Congratulations for you. We had Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We've got Sappho and Spice, Strong Black Coffee and Chocolate Chip Cookies, Nicaraguan cigars, rolled in Panama Papers, DMT and Astral Tribal, 3 geishas and a bucket of chicken, opium and warm orange juice, hot librarians and Jaeger bombs, breast milk and pablum, ginger ale and gerbils, sparkling cider and escorts, bong hits and bourbon, vodka and vanilla, geishas and sake, and mutton and mead. Head on over to noagendanation.com/rings and Eric the Shill will hook you up. Maybe. If he does it like the spreadsheet.
He gets it done.
Yeah, I'm just doing microaggression stuff.
You are very microaggressive.
Yeah. Hey, I never listen to this podcast.
Our podcast?
No, I always listen to our podcast.
You said this podcast is
no, the one I'm about to play an excerpt from.
Oh,
and
what is it?
Well, it's the podcast I really despise, and it's been on, and the millennials.
Is that the name of it? Wow.
Yes, it's a great show, and that's the millennials love it. It's called Radio Lab. And Radio Lab is...
the millennials do love it. Yes, this is true.
Radio Lab. Topic. Why did you do that? I don't know. I asked him this. Radio Lab.
You nailed it.
I think I did. 225. Okay. The former New York banker sent me this. He said, "Oh, man, you'll love this."
Yeah.
This is about I think it was a...
Did he say that? Did he say that sincerely, or did he say it with a note of irony?
It wasn't clear. I mean, I'm turning him. I mean, he is really in. He can't be because of his milieu. The milieu he's in. He can't. But he buys into all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and he understands all. He understands the macro stuff. You know, he did the sovereign wealth funds. Guy knows what's going on. So he sends me this. You'll love it. This is about a professor, I think at Harvard, and his name was Walker, I think. And he developed this series of tests, which he did for the U.S. Army. It was, I think, an Army grant. And they wanted to psychologically test pilots to see if they were fit to fly. I'm going to say this is during the Cold War. So for the previous Cold War with Russia. And it was really horrible. I mean, he would... deprivation, tie him down, humiliation, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when the program ended, he continued to do that, and he gave a course at the school, and this is where I pick up the story.
Yeah. Why Murray did it? There are any one of a number of...
His name is Murray, not Walker, sorry.
...of explanations, and they all could be true. One is it was a grant grabbing. He was getting money to do these things.
Also, this was the Cold War. He was fighting communism. He may have thought it was justified.
Yeah, but he just said he was proud of this.
Well, it also happens to be the case that he was having an affair.
For about 30 years with a woman, not his wife, and they had a sexual relationship that bordered on the sadomasochistic, in fact, was sadomasochistic. In other words, Murray's interest in these was intensely personal.
Whatever the case, in those Harvard experiments, there was one student who was just not prepared for any of it.
His code name was Lawful.
Lawful. They gave each of these students a code name.
Because he was considered so conventional.
He was...
really still just a boy.
Graduated high school at 16.
Was living 1,000 miles from home, 2 shirts and 2 trousers to his name.
And Lawful apparently was an especially lonely kid.
The notes I found of Murray did refer specifically to Lawful's essay, which he saw as highly alienated.
So when Lawful walked into that room, sat across from that stranger...
The guy really did a job on him. He was young, so he was barely growing a beard. So the first thing that the guy tells him is, what is this on your chin? Something trying to look like a beard?
Then the guy opens up Lawful's essay and lets him have it. Meanwhile, like all the students, Lawful had been hooked up to all these stress monitors.
I analyzed his data compared to all the other participants, and he had far and away the strongest response physiologically.
You mean like his heartbeat the fastest and all that?
Heartbeat, everything, through the roof.
Amazingly, this experiment went on for 3 years. And decades later, a lot of the subjects were still upset.
And considered it one of the most traumatic experiences they'd had in their 20s.
Lawful never forgot it.
That's right. He was resentful at the way he was treated at Harvard. He had nightmares about Professor Murray after he left Harvard.
So what happened to this guy?
Well, he finished up his 4 years at Harvard, got his degree, then got a PhD in math. Then he began to teach math. And then he became a household name.
Okay. You know the unraveling of the story by this point, I think?
Ted Kaczynski.
What do you mean?
That's right.
Well, I mean this.
The FBI raid began just after noon in a remote mountainous area called Stemple Pass, about 5 miles outside the town of Lincoln, Montana.
So I don't need to play the rest of the clip. No. But this is so beautiful. This is the MK Ultra program they're talking about. And these morons at Radiolab can't even put this together. This was put in their oops program. There's some oopses. They went to interview this guy about something completely different, and then they say, and he says, well, you know, this kid was tortured by this Warner guy, whoever it was, Murray guy. That's my MK Ultra programming. I'm not supposed to remember his name. I'm not supposed to remember his name.
Apparently not.
I thought it was a really interesting story. It was. I mean, the edit is triggering me to this moment still. I cannot stand the way they present things.
Oh, that's the corny. They got the thing edited peculiarly, so it's herky jerk.
Yeah,
which I really dislike because I want to hear it. There's information in the silence, in the interstitials, in between here and there. There's information, but no, they cut that out.
Yeah,
and then they have the other guy bumping into the. Yeah. It's bad.
But I just liked it. You know, for once, finally, and the way the story goes is he became the recluse. He became the Unabomber for university and airline pilots. And there's all kinds of gory details that they dragged up. But the conclusion is, if it wasn't for Professor Warren Murray, if it wasn't for Murray, he probably wouldn't have gone to those extremes.
And he probably wouldn't have written the manifesto.
That I don't know. I just thought it was a nice little...
Yeah, great. Thanks. Wow. I mean, their government does nothing but good work.
Well, then let's talk about Seth Rich.
Yes, let's talk about Seth.
I'm going to give you the back. This is the backgrounder. This is the interview.
I don't have any clips.
I do. 50 seconds of clip. This is Fox 5 in, I think, D.C., and they interview Rod Wheeler. He is a former PD, I think, detective. And he says he was hired by the family. He has some allegations, which immediately, not immediately, actually, 2 days, almost 3 days later, were refuted supposedly by the family, although no statements, no clips that I could find. They may be out there. Here he is.
The police department nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information could link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's confirmed. Actually, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down in this case, and I can't share any information with you. Now, that's highly unusual for a murder investigation, especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC, and that's the information that's going to come out tomorrow.
So it's a little unclear if he was hired by the family or a third party, but he's making some pretty big claims. And I'm thinking this is really easy to solve.
But wait, he showed up again and he was grilled a little better. And I can't remember who was the griller, but it was on Fox. And it went like this, according to him. He was hired by the family for very little money, and he couldn't afford to do it. And then a third party who he cannot name came along and financed the investigation.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Well, but this is all solved very easily. And I call publicly for this to happen. Yeah, and I don't understand why this former detective isn't thinking, yeah, it's all on the laptop. It has to be on the laptop. Email is two-direction. So if WikiLeaks has 40,000 emails or something, publish them. Publish them. And I think any source from WikiLeaks, if I was a WikiLeaks source, I would want them to let it know that I was killed over something that I did after I'm already dead.
I find it peculiar. What I find peculiar is not that this happened, but that Assange has this kind of mixed feelings about talking about it, even though Assange had offered a reward for any information leading to a conviction regarding this guy's death. I think $20,000 he started with. 25, and Assange also paid for his funeral.
Yes. But he could solve all of this with one fell swoop. Why isn't he doing it? This would be his argument will be, we want to protect our sources. Yeah, but your source is dead.
I know. I'm very I don't know what he's thinking.
So now, the guy seems credible the way he's speaking. He certainly believes, I think he believes what he's saying, this Rod Wheeler character. And it would be easy to prove. Certainly with, what is that Google code, the GKIM, whatever it's like a hash. So you can prove that the email is authentic. Forget what it's called.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. Jim Kim, Jim Young Yum.
I don't know.
I'm waiting for the war room to wake up and respond, but
they're not going to give me anything.
Happen. DKIM.
They already left.
DKIM. DKIM. Thank you. DKIM.
All right. Well, that's our report on him, the dead guy.
I don't have much else. It would be very simple.
I don't either.
And boy, would that blow the lid off. I mean, because then people would be running to say, oh, that's Putin again. He's writing emails. He's making this stuff up. Russian WikiLeaks. But at least we'd have something to laugh about.
I agree. Play this clip. It says Russia and the laptop threat one-liner. It's a very short clip, I'm noticing, and I don't remember what it was.
The U.S. intelligence community has been focused on the laptop threat for over a year.
Oh, yeah. If they've been focused on this thing for over a year, why does they make such a big deal about it now?
Yeah.
That was part of Jeff Pegues, the guy that sounds like he's going to have to...
the poop guy.
Well, I have a couple of clips if you want to hear them. They're lengthy.
Yeah. Lay some clips down.
They're lengthy, but they're funny. This is the actual, when Trump put this little executive order about how you can't let people from these certain countries in because they're terrorists, and so we're going to put a 90-day ban on them. That went to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, where there was this. It just became a comedy. Because
we had that douchebag. We played a clip from it. It was all televised, wasn't it? The Fourth Circuit guy, the Fourth Circuit judge?
No, the Fourth Circuit guys were all it was audio only. They had no
okay. Maybe it was the Ninth. I don't even know. I don't understand.
Well, let's play this, and you can hear what the arguments are, and you can see that Trump's in the clear, but these guys they just have to keep arguing it from one perspective or another, and the perspective they're using is that since Trump supposedly said he hates or didn't, he said disparaging things about Muslims in his campaign, therefore he hates Muslims, and therefore, since this involves Muslims, it has to be thrown out.
My question, a president has an animus against a group.
Yes.
And then the group presents a clear national defense risk. Everybody agrees to that. May the president take action notwithstanding his or her animus, or is that president disqualified operating on that risk because of the animus?
No, Your Honor. The animus is not permanently disqualifying for any circumstance. What the question...
So that the president then, in that situation, could take action if there is a national security risk?
Your Honor, I think the president could take action if it would appear to the reasonable, objective observer that his purpose was not to forward his animus, to advance his animus, but in fact was for a secular.
You mean his primary purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me ask you and follow up on that then. If a different candidate had won the election and then issued this order, I gather you wouldn't have any problem with that.
Well, McCreary teaches us.
A different candidate who did not make the same expressions as President Trump did.
Yes, Your Honor. I think McCreary and other cases teach us that the same action could be constitutional in some circumstances and not in others.
No,
but I want to emphasize.
My particular question is, if some other candidate had won the election and issued this executive order that's before us, I gather you would have no problem with that. Is that right?
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. The suspense is just killing me. I can't wait. What's he going to say? Oh, no. What did he say?
The brain freeze.
What's the McCreary judgment?
This actually explained in the next clip.
Okay.
Yeah, at least a little bit of it. All you need to know. But this guy was just an idiot, and he was stumbling and fumbling, and they were. I thought at some point, as you hear in the next, which is long, they play the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I thought they were at some point toying with him like a cat and a mouse, to be honest with you.
And issued this executive order that's before us. I gather you would have no problem with that. Is that right?
I just want to clarify the hypothetical in one sense.
Answer the question.
Because are we saying that the candidate or the then president issued the order?
Oh, this douche is stalling for time. His brain's going, what the hell do I answer? What the hell do I answer? I'll just
after consulting with agencies, not over the objection that agencies had that in fact it would not serve a national security purpose.
Set that aside. We have an order on its face. We can read this order. And we have no antecedent statements by a candidate about this order. We have a candidate who won the presidency, some candidate other than President Trump won the presidency, and then chose to issue this particular order with whatever counsel he took, whether it's his personal advisor in the White House or with the Secretary of State, Homeland Security, or National Security, or whatever. He issued this executive order. Do I understand that just in that circumstance, the executive order should be honored?
Yes, Your Honor. I think in that case, it could be constitutional. However, Your Honor, I think that it's important to understand that this order, even taking all of the purpose out of it, even if it were
you basically want to set aside the prescription of Mandela.
Mandela effect?
No, Mandel.
What's this prescription of Mandel?
He explains it.
Which says an order such as this, which on its face is legitimate, becomes illegitimate because of campaign statements that were made by the candidate for president.
Not at all, Your Honor. I think we should.
Well, it seems to follow from that.
Are you agreeing that the order is legitimate on its face?
No, Your Honor. So
why not?
Let me start from the.
Yeah, why don't you just answer a question? Is it legitimate on its face or not, in your opinion?
I don't think so, Your Honor, because the order is completely unprecedented in our nation's history. Even with a secular purpose, there is no.
The first order on anything is invalid?
No, Your Honor. But you would expect that an order that took as drastic an action as this, there's never been a multi-country ban ordered by the president. Even in the months after 9/11.
Yes, there has.
The president issued a restriction on non-immigrant visas.
All right. I get it. Is there anything else?
He goes on and on. Everything this guy does is a stumble, and he contradicts it. He's a wreck. There's no way that this guy can win this case. He's. Why did they even put him up there? There's about 10 of these people, by the way. These
they're all lined up.
And they're just blasting him from what you said this a minute ago, and now. So this is what's going on in the background, and Trump's on the good side of it.
Just something completely different.
Nobody's covering this, by the way. Nobody.
Yeah, we are. We are. I have a little gripe about a news story that came out. It's officially tech news, but we don't have to do the whole jingle thing. Started with BBC. That's where I got it first. Newsbeat. It's time to say goodbye to the MP3, which soon became developers have killed MP3. MP3 is dead. I really despise this hyperbole, which it is. MP3 cannot die. It's not a human being. But okay. But this is a very, very evil tactic, and I haven't seen who's behind it yet. But this is what Silicon Valley dreams of. Now, what happened is Fraunhofer and Schmickelheimer, who owned the patent, which you really didn't have to pay for, although if you were making a device that had MP3 encoder in it, this is why FFmpeg exists at all, is, an open source way to create MP3s, and so we don't really have, a license to do this kind of stuff. But it wasn't really being enforced. Now we've killed it off. It's about to expire. Done. It's no good. We're moving to AAC or other protected owned formats. This is really, really bad. You will see. I'm saying it. Hear me now. Believe me later. MP3 will no longer be recognized. Probably Apple will be the first douchebags to do it. But this is a very hard push. And the reason, I believe, is there's still one piece of money to be made. And this came up when Napster came around. Napster came around, and the conversation was about, okay, how do we get money for artists and composers and writers? Read record labels and publishing company douchebags who've stolen these rights from most of the artists. Okay.
Yeah, stolen.
Well, they, fooled, tricked. Here's a Cadillac, son. Shut up. They, at the time, if you recall, the meme was, well, we need to do what we did with cassette tapes. Because when cassette tapes came out, there was a fee levied that went straight to the music business. Same with blank CDs. That may still be the case, that a portion of that money goes to the recording industry, to the rights organizations, so ASCAP, BMI. And that's what they're trying to do here. And I guarantee you, they are really, just like Google tried to kill RSS. RSS is dead, and they killed off Google Reader. This is evil. This is evil. And anyone who's saying, "Oh, this is great because now finally get quality," and you're a-holes.
What's wrong with the quality?
They will convince you it's crap.
Well, they're not convincing me of anything.
No.
All they're going to do if they start to refuse to play MP3s, which would happen a few years from now, knowing the way they operate, because they won't do it right away.
No.
Because it draws too much attention.
iPhone 8, who needs a headphone jack? You don't need MP3 either, douche. Much better quality with our new Thunderbolt plug and AAC, which is owned and is there's licensing fees. I recall there was talk in the beginning. Oh, wait a minute! How do these MP3s these podcasters are making? Maybe we should get some money from them. This really came up, but everyone's just like, "Oh, yes, MP3 is dead. It's dead. It's officially killed. It's dead." Bad.
Whoever says that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Okay,
and they don't want to start losing customers to VLC. Or some of these alternative
FLAC, you mean
platforms.
FLAC, FLAC.
VLC, Video LAN.
You mean the player, yeah.
They don't want to lose everyone to that, which is an crazy open source project that plays stuff. It plays everything. Stuff that you cannot play on media player.
Even half a file. It goes, I can play that. Yeah, watch.
Yeah, it'll play anything, and it also scale it in all kinds of crazy ways you can't do.
It is. It's the worst interface in the world, but man, does it kick ass. The interface. Swiss Army knife of media.
And so there's that, and FLAC is the alternative for Wave, as far as I'm concerned.
Og Vorbis. I know.
Yeah, if you can say it without laughing.
I think someone still makes a version of our show in Og Vorbis, and there's a reason for it. Over there on noagendasocial.com, there's a couple of Australian producers. The bandwidth in Australia is pretty sad, especially upload. I mean, we're looking at 500 kilobit per second from 4G. and even less from home Wi-Fi. When that's granted, that's in Melbourne, not Sydney, but you know.
Right. So they need a smaller, more compact file.
Yeah.
And these guys make a version of No Agenda that's extremely dinky.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Ogg Vorbis.
Ogg Vorbis. I had to, years and years ago in the 90s when I was doing the radio show, I had the inventor of Ogg Vorbis on the show.
Oh, is this the Morning Zoo you did?
Yeah, I did a Morning Zoo. And this guy, he's one of the few guys, you just don't remember anybody. But I remember this guy, and I could never really get a good explanation out of him why he called it Ogg Vorbis.
Oh, good. You asked the question at least. That's good.
Maybe I can dig up that old tape and see if I can find him. I doubt it. I can't find anything. Never mind.
I have a couple more topics just before, I'm sure you have another great clip to slam us out of here. Associated Press, since we're talking about some tech stuff here, is a new tool from the Associated Press that will allow users of its service to pull in topical content shared by users on social media, such as photos and videos around breaking news. Using the web interface provided by social media platform manager SAM, AP owns a stake in SAM and has been using it since 2015. AP's Social Newswire lets AP clients look through social content that's being curated and vetted by AP editors in real time. Here's the kicker. Guess what content they're going to pull in from social media?
What?
Only from verified users.
Woo!
You're good to go. You're good to go. I can't believe it. I can't participate. Second piece, we didn't talk about it on Sunday, but as predicted, Tim, what's his name? Last man standing.
Cook.
Tim Robinson. Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Yes, fired despite high ratings. Show canceled.
Yeah, I love that.
And the thing is, even if you just met with Trump, even if you're not a Republican, Steve Harvey is also being raked over the coals because he sent a memo to staff saying, hey, when I'm in my dressing room, don't come in, don't bother me. I'm sick and tired of it. And I get it. And you're the CEO of a company. You got people walking in all the time. Hey, this is not a barn. Get out. I got stuff to do. I don't want to hear about your crap all the time. But no, he had to become like a horrible man. Horrible. A-hole. Who does he think he is? And then this is a local story. I think it's UT Austin. There was a couple guys. They had a little tent, and they were right off of the university grounds, and they were talking about big Trump signs, and I think it was a religious organization. So they were also vocal. And this art major comes out, and she just does the following. I mean, it just goes on and on. You tell me when you've heard enough. So she's just looking. She's looking at these guys who are filming it. They're filming it themselves. And this is what she does. And she's throwing her bag on the ground and throwing lunch articles on the ground and trying to get lipstick and write stuff on the sidewalk.
This is what happens when you don't take your meds. This is why I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana. This is exactly why I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana. Right here on the Western Washington campus, she's going nuts with the Trump sign. With the Trump sign.
I hear the guy in the back. That's how everyone in America feels about it. Did you hear that? That's how everyone in America feels about it.
She's going nuts with the Trump sign. With the Trump sign. She doesn't like the Trump sign.
As she takes a break, grabs in her purse, writing something in lipstick on the ground. Oh! Resist we much. Oh, okay. Well, wait, there's more.
So I can listen to this screaming all day.
Oh, there's more.
That's her decision, not mine.
going to injure herself.
Yeah, but the thing is, she's also laughing a little bit. So I don't know if this was like a modern art project or what she was doing.
Performance art.
It reminded me of a famous movie starring one of my favorite actors, Donald Sutherland. And of course, the infamous invasion of the body snatchers, which we may be dealing with here.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. There you go. There's your second half of show zinger.
You're welcome. And then final social justice news from me today. Canadian student association at a Canadian university, which would be Ontario's University of Guelph. What is that? Guelph? Gulf. MILF Central Student Association apologized to everyone who was upset by the hurtful, transphobic lyrics played during a campus event.
Oh, no.
Hurtful, transphobic lyrics played at a campus event. John, this song must be taken out of the Library of Congress. I demand that all Hot AC adult contemporary radio formats ban this. I would like steamrollers to be rolling over these records in the street. He's dead anyway. The song, Lou Reed, Take a Walk on the Wild Side. Banned.
Wow.
And you know who's next? The Kinks. The Kinks and Lola. That's got to be next. We got to get that. And I'm surprised that no one has jumped on Walk on the Wild Side, because not only is it transphobic, because he was a she, but the color girls gay. So they say color girls, racist, transphobic,
horrible.
Met her down in Old Soho. Kinks, Ray Davies, I deplore you with your transphobic songs. Holly came from Miami, FLA, hitched away across the USA, plucked her eyebrows on the way, shaved her legs, and then he was a she. She said, "Hey, babe, take a walk on the wild side." Transphobic to the max. I'm triggered.
So who played the song where?
A guy with a guitar, just as a folk song. I'm triggered. I'm triggered from it.
You gotta get that. You have to take. Since we have a lot of good screams.
No, what has to happen is we need one of our remixers to do something with screams.
Yeah, we'll play the scream that we use as our bass scream that we've collected some time ago.
You mean our meta scream or the mother scream?
The big one, the big whopper.
Okay, the big whopper. And then we have
that one.
The social justice warrior at UT. It's invasion of the body snatchers, John. I'm not being funny. They're here. They're pod people. And we have
they should make a lot of noise.
That's a goat.
Are we insensitive or what? Yay!
Woo! Yay us! All right, man.
I'm not going to be able to top that. You're done.
I think you know what? I think you're right. We are done. All right, everybody. Thank you very much in the war room for joining us today. Thank you, Sir Bemrose, Void Zero, everyone helping out in the back end there. Thank you to Eric. I know you try. It's hard.
Oh, hold on a second. You know what we forgot?
Oh, noes.
It's Eric's birthday.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. I couldn't resist. Happy birthday, Eric.
Give him a call out on Sunday.
Well, okay. If it's his birthday, then I get it. And all right. Then we'll let him slide. I retract. The jury will disregard all comments made about Eric the Shill's incompetence today.
Wasn't incompetent. He's going to get mad when you say this stuff. He's sensitive.
I email him about it, too, so.
Okay, just email him about it. I don't know what it is, but maybe he's not reading your email anymore.
Well, yes, obviously, because he's not getting the forward. It doesn't matter. And don't yell about it after the show, either. Please.
I don't yell about anything.
I'm sorry. I take it back. I take it all back. There's an apology. Unblock me. Coming to you from the Cludio in the Common Law condo here in downtown Austin, Texas. FEMA Region 6 on all the governmental maps if you are looking for it. I'm Adam Curry.
And that was sedate. And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
That's right. Until next time, as always, stay woke, my millennials, and adios, mofos.
Not the place to find cover, but Comey, here we go. Me and my shady friends are taking shots, bombing faster than we do a talk show. Come over and talk with just me, and trust me, give Flynn a chance to do his plan. Put Eric on a VIP box, and we start with Branson Spicer. Yo, I want your glove. Glove is clean, they creep like me. Come on now, don't make me bleed. My lazy don't work for me. Write a memo, don't talk too much. Hold on my briefcase, take that leak off me. Come on now, don't make me bleed. Come on now, don't make me bleed. I'm in love.
Felt that Lee Harvey Oswald had been put on trial. A lot of these President Obama for President Bush's father and Bush for President Bush patch their system. Since this happened on the flight from Houston to Oswald had President Obama for President Bush's father and Bush
in the cups. In my nurse who has a bladder condition said she wasn't family and strangers around.
Patch their systems.
I was able to relieve myself.
President Obama for President Bush's father and Bush
an aisle around with my family and strangers. use the restroom or I would need a cup in my seat in the aisle around with, my family and strangers. Moving on.
Patch their systems.
Point that I would either need to use the restroom or I would need a cup.
Potential criminal liability.
A little bit for fashion.
My family and strangers.
She says they told her to use a cup.
I will relieve myself.
What do you say to the no there people? Is there a there?
If there was no there, James Comey would still have a job.
I sometimes watch the other channel.
I have a real problem with this particular.
I sometimes watch the other channels. What do you say to the no there people? Is there a there?
If there was no there, if there was no there, James Comey would still have a job.
So two birds with one stone. Not only have we been seeing the split universe, but the term there has just went out of control. It just went off the rails. So how many dares were there?
Too many.
And it's a racist term. It's about Oakland, California.
The best podcast in the universe.
Marios, stay woke.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
What has science done for you lately?